the same. We share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace with joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. Together we stand, love's pure mind. Watching the world, love and light. One piece, our peaceful flag. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand, in love's pure mind.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a great show in store for you tonight. We're going to be talking about Nolan Wells. We continue trying to figure out what happened in regards to him. We'd like to ask you guys to hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. We have Mama Flips that will be on the show tonight. We look forward to having her join us in a few minutes. Before we bring her on, while we're waiting, I want to show you a little clip from the local police down in the region for Nolan Wells. So let's get to that. Again, as you come in, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I want you guys to check this out.
Family of Nolan Wells continues to push for answers. The independent autopsy report has officially been released.
But the results are inconclusive. This is because the second medical examiner could not review all of Nolan's body. WDSU reporter Chantel Davis reviewed that autopsy report. She's in Jackson County working to get some answers. Chantel.
It's another roadblock for Nolan Wells' family as they desperately search for answers. And those answers lie right here in Jackson County. Sure. Can I ask you a quick question really quickly? Can I ask you a question? I'm Chantel with WDSU in New Orleans. Working to get answers for a family desperate for clarity.
The only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question.
Nolan Wells' parents remain in the dark despite an independent preliminary autopsy report performed in Washington, D.C. by Dr. Roger Mitchell, read aloud by civil rights attorney Ben Crump during a press conference Wednesday morning.
Cause of death, undetermined, pending.
Undetermined. What do you guys think in regards to this when it comes to Nolan Wells? Do you think that this was something nefarious, or do you think it was simply an accidental drowning? I would like to hear from you guys in the comment section. Put a 1. Let's see how we're starting off tonight. A 1 if you think it was nefarious, if you think something or someone hurt Nolan Wells. Put a 2 if you think it was a simple accidental drowning. It's very important that we get an understanding. Put a 3 if you're not even familiar with this case. Hopefully by the end of tonight, you'll be quite familiar with the Nolan Wells case.
Investigation.
According to the preliminary report.
Now, you can see here on the screen in the back of his head, during the autopsy, Ben Crump noted that there was some red, some blood pooling. Looking at different aspects of this from over the internet, people have different positions. Some say that this is indicative of laying on the gurney. Exactly when they're doing the autopsy, some say, I read one report from a pathologist that said they lay your head on a cradle and this could cause this type of bruising in the back of the head. Some are saying, well, this could have originated from a blow to the back of the head. I've even seen some scenarios where they even say, yeah, he was struck on the back of the head and he fell off the boat. Okay, so a lot of people are taking this in different directions. Tell us in the comment section, what is your position when it comes to Nolan Wells? How do you think all of this happened or played out on July the 4th, which happened to be on a Saturday? I see we have a lot of people coming in. I just want to say we welcome you guys. We look forward to hearing from you tonight. See a fellow New Yorker, Harlem, New York. Nice to have you here. I see D. Cran is in the building. We have Mustang, and we also have Katina. All right, so many people are here tonight. I look forward to your participation. But most of all, tell us what you think so far in regards to Nolan Wells and what happened to him. Let's continue with this briefing.
Dr. Mitchell could not examine Nolan's entire body, specifically the neck area. The report reveals part of the neck were not received with the body. St. Tammany coroner Chris.
So, did you note how some parts of the neck did not come with the body? Now, we do know that the state had conducted their autopsy first, and then by means of Ben Crump, it seems like the family ordered their own independent autopsy, which came out of Washington, D.C. I believe Colin Kaepernick was the one that paid for it. But this, according to the autopsy reading, this second autopsy was about 6 days after, at least 6 days after the original autopsy. So, could this have anything to do as to why the second pathologist did not receive all of the body parts, right? I know that's pretty graphic, but as he explained during the reading of the autopsy, often these body parts that are examined, they still come along with the body. So why is it in this case parts of the neck? Some of the pathologists that I see online, they say that the parts that are missing really help you to draw the conclusion as to whether a person was strangled or if they sustained some sort of injury to the neck. I even heard one go as far as saying even if a person, we'll try to put it lightly, if they were, we'll just say it, if they were shot in the neck, those parts of the neck would be very important, very vital to establish what actually happened to the individual. So I want you guys to tell us why do you think, as they mentioned, the neck, certain parts of his neck did not come along? Was it for continued studies on Nolan Wells and perhaps they are trying to come to their own conclusion, or do you think it's something else involved? Let's try to see what you guys have to say about that.
For tape tells me it's normal practice to keep certain structures when there's a pending investigation.
If I kept a high odor of larynx and they'd done a second autopsy, then I would invite them to come in if they wanted to.
The family now wants to know, what was the body position when found? Was there water in the airway? Is there any evidence of injuries to the anterior neck structures? I called the Mississippi medical examiner, the Jackson County coroner, and even went to the sheriff's office, but each one of them said,
and everything else should be referenced to the district attorney's office.
Anything to believe that it's foul play?
So she pulled up on the sheriff right outside. I guess she was trying to get a hold of him for some time. So she pulled up on him unexpectedly. You can tell he's quite nervous. He seems reserved in regards to his answers. We're going to get into all that tonight.
I reached out to the district attorney's office, but they are not answering questions at this time. And the original autopsy report has yet to be released. Now, Sheriff John LeBetter tells me that his agency is partnering with the FBI. I'm in Jackson County. Chantel Davis, back to you.
All right. So we get some information in regards to what she was able to obtain from the sheriff. But again, the sheriff seemed like he was pretty reserved when it comes to this particular case with Nolan Wells. Decran says, I thought the report showed he was choked. Okay. So far, I have not heard that, especially from the second report, the one that Ben Crump had read out to us. Purple Flower says, I feel it was a choke hold when he went out of control. All right, explain to us, Purple Flower, exactly what you mean in regards to that so we can get a better understanding. John Stevenson says, Mel, these boys been friends since grade school and people want you to believe they decided to kill this young man years later. Doesn't make sense. Okay, thank you, John, for expressing your viewpoint on this matter. Jazzy J says, I don't put anything past Mississippi. I just hope the truth is revealed sooner than later. All right. So, guys, now we're going to have our guests come on board. We always look forward to having Mama Flips on the show every Thursday night. So, especially when it comes to Nolan Wells, I've been waiting to hear her viewpoint. on whether or not this was a nefarious event where someone actually took his life, or was this a case where she feels perhaps it was just nothing more than an accidental drowning. We see that these two sides are very prominent on social media, but there's other speculations going around as well. But tonight we get a chance to hear from Mama Flips. Let's bring her in. Mama Flips, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
All right, all right. Nice to have you on the show. So we have a lot to talk about in regards to Nolan Wells. What are your thoughts so far in regards to this case?
Well, I mean, I think everything about it is tragic. I haven't had a chance, unfortunately, to actually see the report because I've been so busy and I had to deal with the another case that's happening in New York. So I haven't had a chance to see the report. Now, did you share the report of what Benjamin Crumb said? Because I know the autopsy came out from Benjamin Crumb. Did you share that? Did you share that video with the audience yet?
Yes. We went through the entire video last night, but we could go through it again.
If you don't mind, let's go. Let's show our audience here again so that we could see it together, so I can make an informed because the way I felt without even seeing it, I personally felt that something nefarious happened. So I got to tell you guys that I already felt that something nefarious happened even before I saw it. So I will be, because the way the mom and everybody was going with it, I would be very surprised if I hear that nothing came out of it. So I would love to see to see if anything else was said.
All right, so we'll definitely get to. I'm going to try to pull up that report. Could you just give us a little idea about the case that you're working on in New York? I know you sent that to me while I pull up the actual autopsy report.
And I don't know if I'm sure I'm not pronouncing
For that, we're honored to pause.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, you want to show it? Okay, so
No, I'm sorry. That was a mistake. Keep going.
Okay. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correctly, but I did go to the hearing of Andrew Aquabaka. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name right. I apologize, everybody. Andrew was the person that actually went to Federal Plaza, 26 Federal Plaza, which is New York, which is actually down the block from me. Hello, everybody. Thank you for, sorry I was late. I was doing another live with Grandma Flip. Today is her scratches day. So I had another live before this one. So I'm sorry for doing that. If you know anything, we have a slot channel, scratch channel. Please check it out. So anyway, this week I was, besides being busy at work, I actually had to run to the courthouse because I received a notification. I don't know, Mel, if you received notifications. I was very surprised to receive my first notification from the courthouse saying that there was an arraignment that was taking place. And I was like, what arraignment? So I looked it up and I didn't realize, because something else happened at my job that really nobody's talking about. And I'm not going to mention it, but something else happened at my job the same day that this happened, which is very similar. But down the block at 26 Federal Plaza, apparently there was this guy that went there during the morning around 8 o'clock. And when people were going to work and people was going to 26 Federal Plaza for services. And if you know anything about 26 Federal Plaza, it could be anything from immigrations to all type of services that they provide there. So people trying to fill out, again, their citizenship, whatever. So anyway, there's this guy that went there and he actually poured inflammatory liquid on the stairs of 26 Federal Plaza after using a pellet pew-pew that looks like an actual pew-pew, a weapon, and actually shooting it out at people, having them running. So he ran up to the stairs, poured some liquid, and you use firecrackers to set fire to the front of 26 Federal Plaza. So that was his arraignment, and I went over there. It took over an hour or so. Sorry, guys. We were there for almost 2 hours waiting for the court, which was crazy, right? I'm sorry, my granddaughter just came in. This is just one of those crazy days, guys. I apologize. This is a
All
crazy
right.
day, guys.
Okay. No problem. It's
I
okay.
apologize. So anyway, so we went to the courthouse, and the judge was almost 2 hours late. So I was there. And initially, there wasn't a lot of reporters, but at the end of the day, we had about like 15, 16 reporters. There were 7 marshals. I don't understand why every time there's an incident, we have to have so many marshals. So there were 7 marshals. In fact, let me take out my notes so that you guys know what happened. Do I have my notes with me? No, I left it at the office. Sorry. So there was 7 marshals that was there. He came out. It was this short little babu of a guy. Like if he's 5 foot, he's 5'2" tall. He's like 4'9", 5 foot. He looks Latino, right? He had a scrubby face and he had a very long sweatshirt, and I think either dark pants or dark jeans. But I think it's his appearance when he walked out that surprised me, because the marshals like stood over him, right? And he just didn't seem intimidating. And I don't know why is it to me, all these guys that's doing all these actions don't appear intimidating to me. It just may be me. So anyway, he sat down and the judge read him his rights. He has a right to a lawyer. If he can't afford one, so he's getting the defendant. He's getting the defense lawyer, a federal defense lawyer, because he submitted his financial and he can't afford it. And she read him his right. You have a right to remain silent. You know, all that stuff like that. So then it was between the prosecutor actually reading the case against him versus the defense. The prosecutor said he only has only one offense they're seeking, which is they're seeking the R in the sun, because we're on social media. So that's it. He only having one count of the R in the sun. You know what I'm saying? Because we're on social media, right? So I was very surprised, because I thought they were actually going to add a terror on it, but they didn't add a terror. They only added that, and that could, I think someone said it could go as high as what, I'm not even going to say the years, but that's all they gave him, one count of that. So they discussed the findings because they wanted to determine whether they're going to give him bail. Okay. So the prosecutor felt that he shouldn't get bail because his action happened during the morning hours when people was going to work. He also had, I forgot to mention, he had a pew, he had a pellet, he had a hatchet, he had a AX, right? And he also had, so he had multiple, and he also had a hammer. All these stuffs in his car. He was homeless, so he was living in his car for a while, okay? And they found all this stuff. So when they went to court, the prosecutor said that he cannot be bailed because he's a danger, because he doesn't have a home, so there's no way for them to actually put him a monitor or stuff like that. He also attempted to cause serious damage because it was 8 o'clock in the morning. People was going to work, and there was people was trying to get service support. They said he doesn't have a job, so they don't want him to have bail. So that's the prosecutor. The defense came in and wanted him to have bail because they said this is his first act of violence. He's never been in trouble whatsoever. They said there's no record that he's ever been in court. This is the first thing. Also, they say he suffered from mental health illnesses, right, in which he has medication. They also said he's a veteran, an Army veteran, right? So they wanted him to get bail, but they didn't want to release him to the public. They do agree that he needs support, but instead of sending him to MEC or MDC, you know where Diddy was, they actually want to send him to the veteran hospital, right? The VA hospital, because they said the VA hospital have support mental health services there. And they also have, once he gets evaluated, because apparently, well, he just did it, the day before, right? So
are you talking about the guy who did an explosive this week that was in the news here in New York? Okay.
Yes.
I don't think most people probably understand. So you got to, that's all.
I apologize. I thought everybody knew what was going on. Okay.
No.
There was a gentleman, a guy named Andrew Akabaka, I'm not pronouncing his name right, who came to New York City, 26 Federal Plaza, and what he ended up doing was actually going to 26 Federal Plaza, lighting up the stairs with flammable liquid, and throwing firecrackers, and it caused a huge fire in front of the building. He had a lot of people running and scared. Apparently 3 people was hurt, but no one was fatally hurt. Okay. I thought everybody knew the story, so I apologize.
Yeah, on the news this week, I think they said a man blew up something in New York. That's what I saw.
Oh, so it was a stairway. He actually burned the stairs. So there was a huge flame. If you go on the news, you could see a huge flame in front of 26 Federal Plaza, but it was actually only the stairway. It didn't go into the building. But it was his whole action that they were talking about. The fact, besides him pouring liquid and everything, he also had different type of what they consider weapon that could do harm. He had an axe, he had a hatchet, he had a hammer, right? He had a pellet pew pew, and which he used. So when he ran up the stairs, before he ran upstairs, he started pew pewing the pellet, right? It looked like an actual weapon. So he had a lot of people running and screaming. Okay. Then after that, that's when, after he had people running and screaming, that's when he went up the stairs, poured the fluid, and then he threw firecrackers, which caused a huge fire on the stairs. And that's what you see in the news. As a result of that, the next day he was arraigned. So we received an email saying that he was going to be arraigned. He was arraigned in a nearby court. That's when I went there to see the arraignment. The trial was delayed for almost 2 hours, but we were there. When we went there, it was about 15 reporters, right? And then that's when I started discussing what happened with the judge. So the judge came in, read his Miranda right, gave him a lawyer, said because he submitted a financial statement stating that he doesn't have any funds, he's going to be getting a defender, which is part of the federal defender services. So he's going to defender. And then they were talking about his what is he being, charged with. He's being charged with one count of I hate to say the word arson because we're on social media, but one count of that, right? And that's it. I was very surprised because I thought he was going to be charged with more, like a terror, but he wasn't charged with that. Okay. After they gave him his charge, then they started talking about his bail. The prosecutor didn't want to release him. The defense did. The prosecutor said that he's a danger. He's homeless. He doesn't have a job. Even if they were willing to give him a ankle monitor, there's no way to keep him. There's no way to actually keep
track of him.
Thank you. Keep track of him because he doesn't have any location. So that's the prosecutor. They want him to stand. They want him to be remanded. Do not get out. Okay. Now the defense is saying the location he's going, which is the MEC, because I always get it confused with MDC or MDC. That's where Diddy was, right? Is not a place for someone who's suffering from mental illness. So they want him to be released because they believe that he suffers from mental illness. This is why he did what he did, because he's never had a crime in the book. He's also an Army veteran who served his country, right? And he has received medication for mental illness. Okay, you have that. So it was the prosecutor and defense that was arguing whether he should be bailed, and the judge was asking a bunch of questions. So prosecutors say he can't have an ankle brace. He's not working. He's homeless. He's living out of his car. The defense is saying he should not go to prison because it's not a proper place for someone who suffers mental health. He's also a military person, a veteran. We should, recognize that about him. And they could prove based on his past that he actually got medication because he suffered from mental illness. The prosecutor came back and said, even though we will concede that he does suffer from mental illness, he does have medication, he did not take the medication for years. In fact, he has never followed up on his mental, on his to take care of his mental health. He refused to take his medication. He hasn't gone seek support, so that shouldn't be used, right? The judge was very concerned about that. The judge came back and she asked them both questions. The judge said, I don't feel comfortable with the fact that he is not receiving mental health support, right? She said, can he get evaluated? Because I need him to get an evaluation in 48 hours. Did you guys do an evaluation? They're like, no, Your Honor, because the incident just happened 24 hours before. So she wants them to the prosecutor to get evaluated so she could make a better determination. But at the end of the day, the defense was like, we know the prosecutor's like, we know he suffers, but he can't be trusted because he deliberately went and tried to harm people at 8 o'clock in the morning. The defense was like, well, technically he didn't. He wasn't after the people themselves. He was after the building. That's what they're trying to say. So he was attacking the building, not the people. The reason why he did the pew pew is to get them away, right? He went there where least amount of people was going to be in the location. So that's what they were trying to explain, that, well, technically he wasn't trying to hurt the people, right? The prosecutor was like, well, if he's trying to get the building on 26 Federal Plaza, he see people coming in, that's his intent. So that's what they were fighting about. At the end of the day, the judge left to say, okay, let me think about it. She went in the back and she took like 15, 20 minutes, and she came back and she said she's going to remand him. She's not going to release him. She's not going to give him bail for now. She says she's not comfortable, 100% comfortable, that he's going to be receiving proper mental health services at MEC. She agrees with the prosecutor, with the defense there, but she says she is not comfortable with releasing him because there's no way to track him, right? He doesn't have a home. He's living out of a car. Also, she also feels, even though he did the defense is saying that he just attacked a building, at the end of the day, people were going into the building and he could have caused serious harm. So she's going to remand him, and then he has a pre-trial hearing on August the 4th.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry for being so long-winded, guys. That's what happened, and thank you.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that. So, guys, that's in regards to the guy who, on the news, I was in Florida, but I saw on the news a man tried to blow up a building in New York City. So
it was crazy.
That's what it turned into, right?
Yep.
All right. So Mama Flips wants to go through the autopsy report again. So we're going to do that now.
Yes.
So that she can articulate to us her thoughts in regards to the Nolan Wells case. So, guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Can you tell everybody the name of your channel?
Oh, Mama Flip Slots, M-A-M. You should be able to see it. It's M-A-M-A-S-F-L-I-P Slots. Thank you. Also, I have Flip Live, too. I have 2 channels. Thank you.
I accidentally cut you off, so you'll have to state your channel again. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Let's see what is said. Oh, you want me to say it now?
Yeah, I cut you off, so go ahead.
Sorry, it's Mama Flip Slots, M-A-M-A-S-F-L-I-P-S-L-O-T-S. Mama Flip Slots. If you guys want to come and watch us play slots, is amazing. Also, we do scratches, also, which is Grandma Flip does scratches. And Mama Flip Live, M-A-M-A-F-L-I-P-L-I-V-E. Those are my channels. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're going to get started. I'll stop it every so often so we can get your viewpoint on it, all right?
Yes, thank you.
All right. This is the autopsy reading by Benjamin Crump and others in regards to Nolan Wells, the young man who was found dead. They think he drowned. Obviously, he was found by the water. So we're going to get into this now. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe.
Here at our national convention, momentarily you will hear from renowned civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who will provide updates on the findings of the independent autopsy that was conducted in the death of Nolan Wells. Immediately following that, we will take questions from credentialed media. We'll attempt to answer as many questions as we can. However, we want to be respectful of the fact that we do have additional programming that is going on to conclude our convention today as well. So we're asking that all press and media, if you're asking questions, please be concise, give your name, give your media credential, and we'll go from there. But before he comes, we will have the leader of the NAACP, President Derek Johnson, to give opening remarks. President Johnson.
Good morning. Far too often our young people are confronted with challenges, and many jurisdictions and states don't take those challenges serious. We cannot allow another individual, particularly a young black man's death, go uninvestigated. We have seen this happen over the years, not only in Mississippi, but across the country. It is unfortunate that our young people only seek to enjoy life. And as a result of participating in activities, no longer have life. For the NAACP, we take this and many other cases serious because every person matters. I want to thank the Mississippi State Conference, particularly Alitra Perryman for working with the family and supporting the family on their onset. Because it's difficult to lose a loved one, it's even more difficult to navigate a process when all eyes are on you. And the pressure of balancing between grieving and navigating is upon you. And so, within ACP family, this is our role, is to step in, to support when the families have an issue like this, and the local officials seem not to hold people accountable. It's unfortunate when you see news reports and law enforcement officials are...
Let me ask you really quick. Do you think so far that the local officials are not holding people accountable?
I think the local officials are scary, in my opinion. I mean, the problem is that the sheriff came out and said initially that they saw no foul play, or they indicated they saw no foul play. It must have been a misspoken. I don't think they intend to say that. But when you come out of the park with a news report saying that you see no foul play prior to even doing an investigation, prior to even speaking to all the witnesses, that's a problem. So I think initially, I haven't seen what else happened, but based on the massive pushback and feedback that they're getting, I think they actually started doing a full investigation. I don't know if it's full yet because I want to see exactly what is being said. So I think they started doing an investigation. And now I want to see what comes out of it. But initially, I think that they thought it was just one of those things. And I think that if it was a different person, a different young person, that they probably would have gave it more, more urgency. That's just my opinion. But I tried very hard not to really talk about this case. I was waiting to see more about it. I wanted to see the autopsy. I wanted to see what was said. So I've been very quiet when it came to this case. I only said 1 or 2 comments, which mean I was telling everybody to just, especially our YT brothers and sisters, to stay quiet on this one for a while. Let's see what happens before they start speaking. There were too many people giving their opinion on this case that I didn't feel had an understanding of how Black moms and dads feel about their kids leaving and going away on a trip with a bunch of friends and not being able to come back home. So that's the only thing I really talked about, is the fact that we as Black folks, we as Black mothers, do tell our children, when you go out with a group, you come back with a group. We say that for real with our kids. Even when I'm living in the blue state in New York, I tell my kids that all the time. You don't leave home with a bunch of kids and don't come back. And even if you don't come back, which God forbid you get separated, your friends ain't leaving you behind. So that's my only thing that I was talking about really when it came to the Nolan. But I wanted to wait and see what the investigation showed before I comment any further.
Okay, very good.
Repeating what individuals are saying as opposed to investigate the individuals who gave you the information, because you don't know who was involved or not involved. And so narrative matters in this case. And we're saying that in Nolan Wells' situation, the narrative should not be it was an accident before there was an investigation. The narrative should not be the words of individuals who went on a boat to the island with him, but they came without him, but with his cell phone, and you don't investigate those individuals. We're not accusing anyone of anything other than the state of Mississippi and local officials. We're accusing them of being derelict in their duties to follow up and to ensure that regardless of what happened, that there was a proper investigation so that this family and that community could be assured that if anyone was involved, they would be held accountable. And if it was truly an accident, that the families will have the necessary answers that any family deserves in this situation. I want to bring to the podium Attorney Benjamin Crump, a friend of mine who have stepped in to take the case and in support of the family to ensure that they get the answers that they deserve, and that local officials and anyone involved will be held accountable to this family, to that system, because we are all parents, siblings, to loved ones who should not be confronted with this reality. Attorney Crump.
Hello, Loretta and Marvelous Marva. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, President Derek Johnson, for your leadership, for the leadership of the Mississippi Conference of NAACP, and being there during the homegoing services to help the family go through what no parents want to go through. Thank you to Chairman Leon Russell, my longtime mentor from Florida, who helped raise so many of us. Thank you for always being there, Chairman Russell. As President Johnson said, I'm Attorney Ben Crump, representing the family of Nolan Wells. But it's not just me, it is a team effort of incredible, dedicated lawyers and investigators and paralegals. Attorney Lisa Park, attorney who you'll hear from in a few minutes, Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Gary Buchan, Attorney Camila Moore, Cliff Jones, Jared Presson, Alan Williams, our whole team of people who are committed, as I said, President Johnson, on this ferocious search for the truth of what really happened to Nolan Wells. But before we begin to discuss the intricacies of the preliminary findings of the independent autopsy, we think it would be appropriate for you all to hear from the people who knew Nolan Wells best, so they can thank you themselves and tell you about the trials and tribulations that they have been enduring since July 4th. July 4th will never be the same for them. I bring to the podium Nolan Wells' mother and father, Christine and Elmore. Please give them a warm NAACP welcome.
First of all, I want to say thank you all so much. Thank you to President Johnson as well as Chairman Russell. This has been a difficult journey. Losing a child, it truly breaks your heart. It is a pain that is just, you can't measure it. Especially someone like Nolan, who brought so much joy and light and life to everyone. You don't find too many genuine people like him. So to lose that light at such a young age under these circumstances has been absolutely difficult, which is why we've gone this route. There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question. We have consistently been degraded by the public. There's been questions about our parenting, our GoFundMe, this, that, and other. I've been called a racist. I am a healthcare provider, and I take my job very seriously. I love everyone.
You know, real quick, last night, there were several people in the audience. We went through this. And also there's people out in the world of social media that are saying she's Filipino, she's not black, and neither was Nolan. So they shouldn't be enjoying the black card. What do you think about people like that?
I think that's the most ridiculous conversation. I mean, the only time I heard this bullshit, excuse my language, started coming out was when Kamala was running for office. I'm sick and tired of these people talking about the black different. Black is not a monolith, okay? Only black people could tell you what they are, okay? We don't need other races telling us what we are, okay? Only Caribbean black can say, look, I'm Caribbean black. Southern black say I'm Southern black. Latino say I'm Latino black, right? Everybody can say what the hell they want to say. No other race should be allowed to tell us what race we are. And what pissed me off more is that when we were going through slavery, there was a law that says if you have 1/3 of a blood of a black person, you were black. When the hell did that change? When the hell did it change that a black person is not black if they have 1/3 of blood? I can't stand that argument. It makes me crazy. It makes me crazy. She's black. If she has a black parent, she's black. The hell is wrong with you people? I don't even understand. Every time I hear this argument, I get pissed off. They pushed that damn narrative behind Kamala Harris' presidency until it was nausea. Oh, she's not black. She's Asian. She's Asian Indian because her mother was Asian Indian, and completely ignoring her black father. The hell we doing? Anyway,
Okay.
I disagree 100%.
All right.
And it's been difficult for us, but we are leaning into our faith, leaning into one another, also leaning into all of you. There are not enough thank yous, not enough appreciation for what you guys have done for us. And we do. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And so it is our hope that our local authorities will do what they need to do, because us having the preliminary autopsy results and hearing nothing from them, it's heartbreaking and it's concerning, which again is why we are here, why we have asked for this help. So again, thank you all so much for your support. We appreciate you, we really do.
Is it fair to say she's not hearing from the authorities, the local authorities, because they're doing their investigation?
I don't know. And also, in regards to blackness, Nolan's father is black. So can we just leave that alone? So it's not even 1/3 his mother. His father's a whole black man. His father's a whole black man. Can we just say the kid is black? Moving on. The fact is that a surviving family, because I'm a surviving family, we also lost a loved one due to pew violence. So as a family, we understand exactly what the Nolan Wells families is going through. There's never enough support from the authorities until you get an answer, right? Until you get an answer. Some survivors don't like the answer that we get, but we just want an answer. So if you're not coming to us and providing us updates with your investigation, then we don't feel like we've been heard. We don't feel that our child is getting justice. If it was an accident, they should have heard it from day one. They should have heard it from day one. If a mom and dad is saying they're not being heard, they're not being their case is not being dealt with, then we have to trust the mom and dad because they're the one that's going through it. And every survivor, we have survivors of different color. It doesn't have to be black, white. It's every color. People have lost loved ones. We all know if you lost somebody, you know what it feels like when an investigation is not being, when your loved one lost is not being investigated. We know what it feels like. We know what the expectation is. You go through all of this, asking a bunch of questions, then you bury your loved ones, and then you're back to a silent house. You walk in, and someone you love is missing. There's an empty chair. There's an empty bed. There's empty clothes. That's just the beginning of the heartache. So if you're not getting answers to your questions, you can't move on. Your reality has changed. Your reality has shifted. You're no longer living the same life. So only the mother and father can tell us if if they feel they're getting the right follow up from the police. And most of the time, as survivors, we don't feel it. And I have law enforcement in my family, and I've dealt with survivors to this day at my work. I'm sorry, Mel. To this day, they have not found the answer to the loss of their loved one. To this day. So we need to listen to the families.
Do you think the law enforcement has been quiet because Ben Crump and others are on the scene?
I think the even in the case of someone like Ben Crump and all of them, the law enforcement still have to answer to the family. I'm sorry, give me a second.
Okay, I'm going to go back to playing while you take care of that. All right. All right, guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're watching the autopsy reading again.
Every day I wake up, it's a new challenge. Knowing that a part of me I will never talk to, I will never hold, I will never play around with or get mad at, it's not here anymore. Nolan brought a lot of joy to our family. He was the wittiest one out of everyone. The clown. He loved to put in the work because he wanted to be the best. He wanted to make me and his mother proud, and we were so proud of him just for being the person that he was. He was loving. All his teachers knew him, but loved him. He walks in the room, his aura, you're automatically drawn to it. Never met an enemy. And if they were, they would eventually be friends because they would eventually bond, and it's gonna be hard. He should be at football practice right now, calling me out to practice. Dad, I made this play, or I made that play, or I get a text with 3 or 4 videos of him doing this, running this route, making this block. And what you think? What you think I should do? And I will give my honest, because I always tell them, if anyone is going to be totally honest with you, it's going to be me. And it's not because I'm being mean, but people outside your family are going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to make you better. It's going to be hard for our family from here on out. And like I said, every day is a challenge. We're going to miss our son. And like my wife said, we just want honesty. We want to know what happened to our son, because the things that you're telling us, that's not the character of our son. We know our son. I understand, our children would do things that, that would kind of dumbfound us sometimes, but the things that we're being told, there wasn't Nolan. So please keep us in your prayers, keep him in your prayers. And we're going to keep pushing and fighting until we find answers. Thank you guys for your love and support.
All right, so that's the father. What do you think about that when he says he knows his son? I think he's probably talking about the fact that Nolan stayed behind. And he's saying, that's one of the statements they made, is that he wouldn't typically stay behind. Do you think there's a first time, or do you think when you interject a female that could change the lay of things?
Someone is lying. Okay, someone is lying. You can't have two sets. You can't have a set of friends saying that, oh, he wanted to stay behind with the girl and then travel with a set of friends, and then the girl was like, no, he left, and he said he was returning his friend. Somebody's lying. So that's the investigation. What happened to Nolan, and who's lying? It may not be that they intended to do him harm, or it may be a cover-up. At the end of the day, something is going on. In regards to the father, yes, we know our kids. A lot of us know our kids, but we also know our kids are different people when they go out with their friends. And even if they say, okay, well, Nolan stayed behind intentionally, Nolan and no other teenager is going to stay behind without their phone. I have an 8-year-old granddaughter who has a cell phone. Before she had a cell phone, she had an iPad. My granddaughter won't even go from one room to the house to the next without her iPad. What are we talking about here? So even if he decided to stay back, let's just say he didn't listen to his parents. He saw a little girl. He sniffed some. He wanted to get that. Let's just say that. Like the kids say, he wanted to get that. Let's just say that. Okay. Where the phone? He would have wanted to take the phone so he could call. He could have texted his family and say, I'm staying behind. Or even if he wanted to take a phone and take a picture of the girl. He would have wanted to take a picture of the girl. What are we talking about here? There's no way this kid would have left behind in the island without his phone. Period. And let's just say that happened. Let's just say he was so smitten by this beautiful thing that he lost his goddamn mind. And then, rest in peace, Nolan, sweetie. It's not you, it's them. And he decided to say, let's just say that. And he left the phone. Why didn't the phone stay in the boat? Why did the kids take the phone off the boat and walked around the phone all over the place? Why did they return the phone to the parent? Why did the parent's friend have to go get the phone? Come on, people. You understand what I'm saying? Come on. What is going on? I'm just reading some of the comments. At the end of the day, we as people, as mothers and dads, we know our kids do different things even though we tell them not to. Yes. But deep down in the core, we know our kids. We know what we taught them. We know what they did. We know them by habit. Why is it in this particular case, Nolan has never went out with his friends and came and stayed behind? All this time. Nolan was a good-looking kid. You guys think that girl was the first girl he was attracted to? She was the first girl he wanted to chat with? Why that particular situation? And they had other events. They had other boats. They had other outing. Why that particular kid's situation? Why that particular girl? Why not the phone? And did they explain why his Texas was deleted? Come on. So I agree with the father. I know for a fact that my kids are maybe two different people. I can tell you, if somebody would come and tell me there's something that my son did, I would be like, there's certain things I know my son ain't going to do. I know my son's going to do. Somebody come to you and tell you, Mel, because Mel, you have kids. Oh, your son went into McDonald's with a pew and try to hold it up for a chicken McNuggets. Your son went in there and took a pew because he wanted some chicken McNuggets. So come on, man. Like we know what our children will do and not do. So I understand the father. He specifically said that we spoke to him constantly when it comes to that environment. They probably was more concerned because they're in Mississippi. They know the environment of Mississippi that they're in. They know what's been going on with a lot of these young Black people being found unalive on trees in the South. They probably had this conversation with him. This is why they're so sure. You know when a parent is sure about something. You know when a parent is like, I don't know. They are 100% sure in this situation. I haven't even heard a doubt. Have you heard a doubt from the mom and dad, even a hesitation when it came to Nolan being left alone or staying back without his friends and his phone? I haven't even heard an indication of a doubt. Or there's a maybe. Because you know your children. You know what they do. You know they've been in these situations before. You know you had conversation with them. You know your children. So I completely agree with the father. Was like, yeah, this is not normal. This is abnormal. And I just want to know the answer. And that's it.
Okay, very good. The mother, basically, I think the United Cajun Navy. She was working with them initially. I think they asked the mother if he was drinking. She said yes. Do you think drinking would have played a different part here?
In what? Drinking was what? So he was drinking. Did the girl said when did we see the report that the girl said that he was in he was falling down drunk? Is that what did we get in that report? It's possible they drink. We all know the kids drink. Come on, we're not stupid. He's at a party with a bunch of white tea kids living the big, rich white life. They have beers. They have alcohol. In fact, at the end of the day, I would hold a if I find out even my son died accidentally, I'm holding the boat. I'm holding the captain responsible. They're underage. Why do you have alcohol? So yeah, I'm sure she thinks. I know what my son's my 13-year-old, 14-year-old son had what is called hookah parties at my house. Not hookahs. I'm sorry. What is it called? I'm sorry. What's that word? You know, you gotta be so upset. You know, when a kid, I'm sorry, guys. It wasn't called it's not called hookah, but you know the parties where they stay home from school, right? And
They play hooky.
They
play hooky. Yeah.
Hooky party. I say hookah. Hooky parties. My son at 13, 14 years old play hooky parties at my house, and I'm at work. And you know who called me? The police called me. The police called me. When I'm at job, so hey, Mama Flip, my name was Mama Flip. Your son, I'm like, which one? I thought it was the oldest, because the oldest was always getting in trouble. But no, it was the good one. It was the good kid. He had like 30 kids in my house having a good old party. And guess what? I had alcohol. They were drinking my wine coolers. They do things like that. I was shocked. Don't get me wrong. I was shocked. I'm like, oh my God, what are my sons doing? So we know our kids get into crazy activity. They do things for friends and for show. We know this. But that if you came and told me that same kid would hold up a bank, I'll be like, hell no, that's not going to happen. So yes, I'm glad the mom is honest to say, yeah, I'm sure he was drinking. But did that lead to what happened to him? That's what she wants to know. And until they give her an answer, then it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. And I don't think they were taking it seriously. To answer your first question, I don't think they were taking it seriously until they got all of this attention, to be honest with you. If the parent did not go with Ben Crumb, if the parent did not do as much, it would have been an accidental. They would have had one autopsy. We would call it a day.
Okay, all right. Let's get back to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christine and Nolan. Christine and Elmore, Nolan's mother and father. Before we start to go over the preliminary findings from the independent autopsy, we will hear from Attorney Lisa Park to tell you about who was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy. Attorney Lisa Park.
Thank you. Dr. Roger Mitchell could not join us today, but we felt it important before we reveal and unfold this report that you understand who conducted this autopsy. Dr. Roger Mitchell is a physician and board-certified forensic pathologist with 2 decades of experience. He currently serves as the president of the National Medical Association, which is the oldest and largest group of Black physicians in the U.S. Most recently, he also served as president of Howard University Hospital, chief medical officer of the Howard University Faculty Practice Plan, and chair of the Department of Pathology. Before joining Howard, he served as chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C. from 2014 to 2021, and later as interim deputy mayor for the Public Safety and Justice. Dr. Mitchell has conducted and managed thousands of autopsies and is nationally recognized for his work at the intersection of medicine, public health, and justice. And for this case, we sought out the very best, and we are proud to be working with the very best.
Thank you, Attorney Park. I again want to express our gratitude to President Johnson, Chairman Russell, and the NAACP, because civil rights is more important than ever in the United States of America today. And so we thank you for the civil rights leaders stepping up to say that our children's lives matter now more than ever. And I want to thank all of you for getting up 8 in the morning if people could see how many people are gathered here, they would say, you all are truly blessed to have the support of America, Christine and Elmore. And I want to thank the media for covering this matter, because they don't always cover when our children are taken away from us in highly unquestionable ways. And I do understand there's a lot of news going on in America today. I woke up to them saying LeBron James is going to announce where he's going to play basketball next year.
You live in the Knicks?
All right, what were you saying?
Whoa, hold on. LeBron James. I don't care about LeBron James. I'm sorry. You know who I was thinking of? I was thinking about my guy, the captain on the Knicks. I almost had a heart attack. But go ahead. Sorry. I got shocked.
So while we're here, I just want to ask you this question to get conversation going. A lot of people are saying that Ben Crump has taken the parents on a tour. The first press conference was in New York. Then they went to Mississippi. They had the funeral. And then yesterday they had the whole, he brought them to Chicago. Some people are saying instead of releasing the preliminary, he waited so he could fan them out to Chicago to the NAACP. What do you have to say about people who are using this type of scenario?
The fact is that he is using whatever method he needs in order to bring attention to this case. And if that means that going to New York to meet with Al Sharpton, that's why he went to New York to meet with Al Sharpton, because New York is Al Sharpton. That's where our black leaders is over there. He's one of our black leaders. Then after that, Mississippi is where Nolan was unalived. Obviously, he went to Chicago to the NAACP with another huge sector of the black community that have black leadership and civil rights. You follow the leadership and you follow the groups that's going to help you make a point. Now, I see a lot of people talking about it's not a race thing. The reason why it's a race thing is because you guys made it into a race thing. If black and brown children was getting the same attention as everybody else when our kids are unalived, when our black men are being unalived, when our black women are being tormented, then we wouldn't be a race thing. You guys make it a race thing. All we try to do is get equal rights for us, for our people. This is the one person I saw in the comments say, "Oh, before this happened to her, to Christine, her hair was straightened, and now her hair is curly." You tell me when she went to the hair salon. Her son, her 18-year-old son, is unalive. He's gone. So you expect her to go to the salon and get her hair straightened up so she could be white? That's the most insane, silly comment that I saw this whole entire time. This is why it's a problem for us. This is why it becomes a race thing, because we have to keep justifying the fact that we need to have the same rights. I promise you that if it was a white young kid that went on a boat with 5 black brothers young kid, and they left the white kid on a deserted island, or hell will have broke loose. This is why the parents needed a Ben Crumb, the Al Sharpton, the Chicago NAACP, because they want to tell you guys something. Let me tell you the message they want to tell you.
What's
We
that?
are tired of our
Wow.
children being unalived in mysterious, crazy ways, and we're not getting the same answers that you guys are getting. It's plain and simple. We're not saying that your kids should not get the same attention, because they do. We're not saying that you shouldn't be as outraged as one of your kids get unalived mysteriously, because you should be. We're saying our kids are not getting the same attention. That's all we're saying. We're saying there's no way a sheriff was going to find a YT kid alone on an island, unalive, after being on a boat with 4 or 5 black kids, and he's going to say, well, you know something? There's no foul play. There's no foul play in the first press conference. That's why they're doing all of this, people. They're trying to bring attention to say, hey, everybody, hey. If our kids get unalived on a deserted island, can we get the respect of getting an answer? Can we not have to go chase down the phone ourselves? Can we not have to knock on the door and ask a friend for the car keys of my son? Can we not have to do? Why is the mother and father doing the investigation before the sheriff does? Do you honestly think that if he was a white kid that this would be happening? Come on.
Okay.
That's why we're upset. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. Because the mother and dad, I congratulate mother and dad, because they weren't playing about their son. It wasn't going to be like everybody's son. I'm not playing about mine. Let me tell you, God forbid something like that happened to me. I'm not playing about mine. I'm shutting down the whole world about mine. And that's exactly what they're doing. I'm sorry, Mel. Go ahead.
Brad says Mr. Crump, Sharpton need to be in prison. All those kids that were sitting there saying that they did something, they need to be sued. That's what Brad said.
I don't know what Brad's talking about, but go ahead, Mel. Can we continue the video? Because I don't know what kids he's talking about. I don't know what kid. Who kid said what?
Okay.
What kid said what?
All right.
Thank you, Brad, for your comment. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Let's continue.
I'm very happy that the media said this story is just as important. And I'm sure LeBron James and Rich Paul and Stephon Curry and Draymond Green, Jaylen Brown, Embiid, Maxey, Giannis, Bam, and many other players in the National Basketball Association will all agree that our children's lives are far more important than where LeBron or any other player will play next year. And so that's why I thank you all for being here, because this news is as important as any news in the United States of America, finding out why is Nolan Wells dead.
Okay, so what do you think about that? He's using the ball players as an example.
So I wasn't paying attention. So apparently there's a story. It stopped me too. I thought he was talking about Jalen myself, but it stopped me too when he said LeBron James. So apparently some media is paying more attention to where LeBron James is going instead of the Nolan Wells story. I mean, I agree with it. I mean, it definitely, when he said LeBron, I was thinking of Jalen, so it stopped me also. So I am definitely interested in where Jalen is going. But at the end of the day, I think he's right. The media doesn't really pay attention to stories. Media sometimes lead our interests. When I was doing survival work for many years, the story that had the most explosive most explosive tragedy was actually blasted on the front page. So if you have like, for example, a 2 or 3-year-old get unalive on the street of Brooklyn, they'll get attention, right? More so than a 20-year-old getting unalive in Queens, because they always allege that a 20-year-old in Queens is by gangs. However, the 2-year-old story would not be in front of the newspaper if you know that there's a multi incident regarding. I'm trying to be social media friendly, but if a school have a multi weapon incident in a red state, that oversees all of our other stories. It will knock the 2-year-old story. It will knock the unalivement of a 20-year-old in Queens. They just care about that. So by him saying that he appreciates the media paying attention to this story, covering the story, it means a lot, because most of the time the media doesn't pay attention, especially the regular media. The only media that really pay attention to stories like that is media like us, like independent media that cares about stuff like that. So by him saying that he appreciates them coming because they care more about LeBron. I mean, they care more about the story than LeBron James. I think that's a good thing.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's get back to it. Thank you very much.
And I want to thank you all who have called the call center. I want to thank Reverend Al Sharpton. I want to thank Mr. Tyler Perry. I want to thank Mr. Terry Owens for putting up the $125,000 reward for anybody out there who have information so we can get to the truth of what happened. I mean, any videos, and we've gotten so many videos, President Johnson, from that day from young people, and we want them to have the courage to come forward with the pictures.
All right, go ahead.
I thought there was no videos. I thought there were no videos. Like, this is kind of shit like this video. Didn't you and I hear that there wasn't the videos? Mel, did we not hear there were no videos? Did we not hear? Why am I hearing there's a lot of videos returning? I could have sworn there were no videos. There was probably one video in which he was yelling, somebody was yelling about a phone. That's what I heard. The kids, this is what I heard. The kids had all their phones. Hold up. I heard the kids had all their phones locked up in a box because of the fact that it wasn't fresh water, it was salt water. And why are we making it a big deal? The fact that Nolan did not have his phone when there's proof. I myself heard there was proof that nobody had their phones because there was no video. So why am I hearing now there was a lot of videos going on? Why is that coming out now, Mel?
Good point. All right.
Thank you, Mel. Let's continue.
You heard. I know people said there were a lot of disturbances out there. Some believe it involved Nolan. All of those things are important to get to the truth of what happened. The fact, Christine, that the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt?
All right, what you have to say?
Thank you. That's what we're asking. You see that's exactly what we're asking. That's exactly what we're asking. Like when did he put on a shirt? Like we saw him in a video with his short and his chest out with the rest of the guys. When did he have a chance to put on a shirt? Did the shirt leave without the phone? Did he put the shirt?
So just for the record, that was corrected by the United Cajun. He didn't have a shirt on. Crump basically was quoting one of the guys from the Cajun Navy who went on Nancy Grace, and he actually said that he was fully clothed because Nancy Grace asked the guy. He was one of the individuals involved in finding Nolan, and I guess their team at least saw Nolan from a helicopter. He was laying face down on the sand. All right. So basically, this guy said, yes, he was fully clothed. Ben Crump came out and said he was fully clothed. They came out and corrected him and says, no, we want to be accurate. But ultimately, Ben Crump got it from them. But Nancy Grace says that there's a picture floating around. She was privy to it. And you could clearly see, based on the picture, he doesn't have a shirt on. He has on the trousers. All right.
But even so, thank you for saying that. But even so, did he have a shirt on or not have a shirt on? You see what I'm saying? Did he have a shirt on or not have a shirt on? Why are we still at this late day not understanding what's going on?
He did have a shirt on.
Can you imagine? Now I'm really now.
Hold on. I gotta set the record straight. So this is for everybody in the audience. Let's be very clear. I don't agree with Mama Flips on most of the stuff that come out of her mouth. Hold on, let me get it clear. I don't agree with her on most things. We argue, we go back and forth, right? So the things she say, the things that she don't agree with me, it's just how life goes. So I just want to make that clear. That's not a good way to judge anyone based on someone else. But ultimately I stand with you. That's very clear too. But anyway, I just want to make that clear. You do a lot of wild talk. So
yes, I do a lot of wild talk. But at the end of the day, what happened? They new to the show. They new to the show. They don't understand our dynamic.
We have new people all the time, so it's very important that people understand that.
Mel does not agree with everything I have to say, and I don't agree with everything we have to say.
Sometimes I agitate you on purpose to get the show popping. It is what it is.
Yes,
that's how we do it.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to our show.
Thursday night is not for everybody. It's not for the weak of heart. You have to be strong on Thursday night.
It's the first time they've seen us argue. We argue a lot, but anyway, at the end of the day, this is a prime example of exactly what I'm talking about. Why is it that one breath, Benjamin Crump is saying that he has a shirt, and now you're telling me after the fact he doesn't have a shirt? Why? And we can't even blame Ben Crump because he got it from what he felt was an expert that was searching for the child, right? Searching for Nolan. So why is one alleged expert that was searching for him say he was fully clothed and somebody else is saying no? Why isn't the sheriff and them taking over the case to the point where the family did not need a Benjamin Crump, did not need double NAACP, did not need Al Sharpton? Why did the family need to have to go outside to get all the support? Why? Because they don't feel comfortable with the sheriff. They don't feel comfortable with the investigation. They don't feel comfortable. That's why, in my opinion. So there's no reason why at this late date, is it going more than a month yet? No, not more than a month, like 3 weeks that they still can't even tell us whether the kid had a shirt or not. Now, come on. Like, this is so
crazy. No, he didn't have a shirt on, so that's been cleared up. I also want to take this moment to give a shout out to Miss Selena Charles. She's on this screen here. If you go back to the first press conference, we covered the trial, Carmelo Anthony together. But also, when you go back to the New York press conference, she's the one that talks about her, I believe, nephew that also went missing under similar circumstances. So it's nice to have her here. She's so amazing too. So shout out to Miss Selena Charles. Okay. So anyway, you ready to get back to the video? Or you want to?
Let's continue. I need to hear the whole thing.
All right, let's go.
Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were almost 300, 400 people. Somebody knows something. So, Scott X, we're trying to just make sure people understand that you can call the Nolan Wells tip line at bencrump.com. We will gladly listen to you, take any information as we try to put together this puzzle of what happened to Nolan Wells. And today, we're going to add some more parts to this puzzle. Because my legal team and I, we stand for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or it acquits. Yeah, and we stand for transparency because we got eyes that can see, and we don't need government officials having to narrate it for you and me. We can see it for ourselves. Transparency. That leads to the truth. The truth is the foundation for accountability and justice. And that's all we're seeking, as Christina Elmore said from day one. So with that, and Christina Elmore, if you all want to sit, we're about to go through this autopsy. I know it may be a little emotional.
Okay, so he's about to go through the autopsy. He's asking the family to go sit down because it might be emotional.
It's horrible to be in the room to see it. Mel,
What's that?
I wanted you to know that it's horrible to be in the room to see the autopsy of their loved one, because I had to go through it with my sister. It's a very emotional, horrible thing to see your loved one laid out and even see the pictures, even hear the report. Is horrible. So I just wanted to say that. It's a horrible.
Okay, sorry to hear about what happened to your sister. Okay, so we're going to proceed here, and then I'll get your viewpoint.
Thank you. Damn. Everybody's in there. Wow.
Okay, Miss Selena Charles that was there, she was in Chicago. She said it was so hard. I almost lost it when Ben said his organs were gone. All right.
Man, Miss Charles. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Miss Charles.
Okay. All right.
Hold on a second, Mel. Did they ever find Miss Charles' nephew?
Well, she said it was her first cousin.
Her first cousin. Did they ever find the first cousin?
I don't think so, but I'm going to let her answer in the comment section. I'll be looking out for her answer.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go.
We begin to present the preliminary findings of the autopsy. We want to especially thank Mr. Colin Kaepernick for not thinking it robbery.
So she said yes. She didn't explain the circumstances, but he was found.
Okay. I hope he was found alive, but I'm glad that he was found. The family got answers. But go ahead, Mel.
All right.
For the autopsy. Let's go first. So.
Okay, she said he was found deceased.
I'm sorry.
Rest in peace to your cousin.
My condolences.
Yes, indeed.
Is it fire alarm? Okay. My condolences, Miss Charles.
She said his trachea and esophagus was gone. Talking about her cousin. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy world we live in.
Yes. Wow. My condolences.
And the autopsy will be provided for the media at press@bencrump.com.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Mr. Jones, keep that. I'll leave this.
Tammy says his organs were placed in a bag and the bag was placed in the body. That's a standard practice.
So if it's standard practice, then why? I didn't hear. Let me hear the autopsy first.
Dr. Roger Mitchell, board certified forensic pathologist, performed a preliminary report on the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. He conducted and presented this report on July 19, 2026. Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation.
Jesus Christ.
And we'll explain that.
You want to say something now? Go ahead.
Yes. Why is it still undetermined?
Well, keep in mind now, this is the secondary autopsy that Crump was overseeing. He's going to explain why, but go ahead.
But normally undetermined, I mean, no. Normally undetermined, if it was an accidental drowning, wouldn't it have been considered an accidental drowning? Wouldn't that be the findings? Undetermined meaning there's other factors that doesn't make it clear.
Right. So I don't want to spill the beans, but since we're here, he's going to explain that there's different body parts that are missing, probably because the original one, maybe they're still doing testing. So he couldn't really complete and give a true finding without, because the throat is missing, lungs. So there's key parts missing. So he couldn't come to a complete finding. You follow?
Okay. All right.
All right. So we're going to get to it. I know you're excited about it, but it's what it is. All right. Let's keep moving here.
As we go through the report this morning, the manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation. Statement of examination. This forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Name of decedent, Nolan Xavier Wells, age 18 years old, race, black, gender, male, date of death, unknown.
Okay, so you can hear the crowd when he said the date of his death was unknown. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, because now we don't know. We don't know, because now, since it's undetermined, they don't know if he was unalive on the 4th or the 5th, because nobody knows, right? So that's the thing. Like, they can't tell even by. I can't believe that in today's, with all these autopsies, they can't even tell the time that. They should be able to tell the time that he actually died, at least. Was it within 24 hours, 48 hours? It's crazy to me that they're saying that even that is unknown. That's crazy to me.
Right. All right. So, yes, we do want to give a warning. This is going to be a very graphic live dealing with the autopsy of Nolan Wells. So if you're faint of heart or just wish not to hear this type of material, this show you'd probably want to skip out on. So thank you very much. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, TikTok, the same thing to you guys. I think I better shut off TikTok because they're going to give me TikTok. Come to YouTube. I have to shut you out, guys. I'll be back once the autopsy discussion is over. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
TikTok.
All right. Miss Selena, who was there, says when they received the body, it was in a decomposed state. All right. Thank you.
Autopsy date was performed on July 10th, 2026. Preliminary findings. And this is significant. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region. He said the etiology is unknown at this time. He said the body was received after the initial autopsy. He said the body had marked decompensation. He said corona incision of the scalp, brain removal, Y-shaped incision of the anterior torso, and he talked about the organs being removed, as is common.
So you heard the people in the audience,
Screaming.
they got excited. So, but he says that that's common. So a lot of people are focusing on the fact that the redness in the back of the head.
What
You
is
want
that?
to speak on that?
Well, I mean, I would think that the reason why they're concerned about the redness in the back of the head is that they think that there may have been a blow in the back of the head and stuff like that, especially if the autopsy is mentioning that. When they say that most of the time when in the autopsy, they mention the abnormal findings. So I'm thinking that if the person that did the autopsy mentioned it, that means it's significant somehow. We just don't know how. So.
Okay. All right. After this, we're going to go through the interview that Officer Tatum had with the friend. I see some people talking about it. We're going to get to that a little bit later. Let's keep moving for now.
Accompanied in the body cavity. And that when you have an autopsy, the organs are removed from the body and they are dissected and examined. And then they are put back in a bag within inside the body. So when they're buried, their remains will all be with them. But in this occasion, if there's going to be a second autopsy, then the organs are put in the body cavity so the second pathologist could be able to examine the organs as well. Very significant for Dr. Mitchell was that the anterior inner neck structures were absent, not received with the body. And we'll explain.
So the inner neck structures were not received with the body. Any thoughts on that?
No.
All right.
I don't know. I'm still trying to determine what is normal versus what's not normal. So the way he's reading it doesn't show me really what is normal procedure versus what not. Unless he says this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. Since I'm not a doctor, I'm not sure exactly what is considered normal or not, unless he clarifies. But yes, let's go ahead.
That in just a minute. And then it talks about the additional procedures performed during the second autopsy. And we'll go into the paragraphs on that there because he explains it better in his narrative. So where's the first page of the discussion? Not the diagram yet. Diagram over there. So he talks in the preliminary discussion opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to getting to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us. So he did that there and was very straightforward, very open, very open. He said,
All right, so I just want to pause there for one moment. We have a lot of people in the audience. I want to ask you guys, put a 1 in the chat if you think something nefarious happened to Nolan. Put a 2 if you think it was an accidental drowning. Put a 3 if this is the first time you're really hearing about the case. So 1 if you think someone did something to Nolan. Put a 2 if you think it's simply an accidental drowning. 3 if you're not familiar with the case. Thank you guys for your participation.
however,
We're going to ask this at the end of the show. I want to see if there's any changes based on the autopsy.
dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8-inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And he talked about how he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice, why is this dark red here in the back of his head? And so he was important to note that in his report. He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed. He said another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures.
All right, guys, we have an update from Stella. Stella says, FYI, Mississippi is not going to release their autopsy results. They are withholding it until the grand jury per the DA. All right, thank you for that.
Thank you, Stella. Okay, why? Again, the answer now is why now? Did they not have a deal, Mel? Okay, tell me. Didn't they have a deal with the Crumb family? I mean, with the Wells family, that once this autopsy get released, they were going to release their autopsy, autopsy too? Didn't I hear that in the media? that
I
they.
heard a similar sketch of that. Now, keep in mind that they released a preliminary, not the full report. So I don't know if the exact wording was the actual secondary autopsy or the preliminary report.
So the Mississippi released a preliminary report too.
Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. When I heard about, I thought the discussion was who was going to release the autopsy first. That's what I thought I heard in the media, right? Again, I'm just basing on what I heard. Then it was agreed because I thought Mississippi wanted to release their autopsy first, and this is what they were arguing about, right? And then they agreed when the parents went to meet the sheriff that okay, we're going to allow the parents to release theirs, and then we're going to release ours. That's what I thought I heard. So now you're telling me now that it's going to a grand jury and they refuse to release it. That's not what I heard all this time. I heard that they were going to release the autopsy. So that gives me more reason to be concerned. Because normally when you go to the grand jury, right, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's because there's something there. Like normally you don't go to the grand jury with accidental drowning. So we got to confirm. Thank you, Stella. I would love to confirm that because you don't normally go to grand jury. Grand jury is you taking time and money from the state to compile a bunch of people to look at the evidence. I mean, I know you could bring up a grand jury or anything because there's a joke that you could create a grand jury for apple pie in different states. But most of the time, especially when it comes to big cases like this, you don't bring in a grand jury because that leads one to believe that there's something there. That is crazy. Wow. Okay, let's continue. But I thought they were going to release their autopsy as soon, either at the same time or shortly after the Wells family. They were arguing all this time. The reason why they held the autopsy is because they were arguing who was going to release the autopsy first. That's what I heard. So this is the first time I'm hearing that they're not releasing theirs and that they're going to wait.
I don't think the grand jury, it's an automatic slam dunk that there's a case here. I think a lot of cases get brought up before the grand jury. They don't go anywhere. So I'm just saying, I don't know how far you could really go with this. We just have to see what's going to happen.
Have we seen grand jury brought up for accidental drowning?
You probably wouldn't know unless they indicted somebody. How would you really know what's going on? I mean, you're just not going to hear about it. There's all sorts of grand juries convening that don't go anywhere, and you don't hear about it.
Then we shouldn't have heard about this either, right?
Well,
if that's the case, then they could have still delayed. Why are we hearing that they're doing a grand jury instead of releasing an autopsy? They could have released the autopsy saying, hey, you know something, we have accidental drowning. Based on all I found is accidental drowning. But as a result of the case being such an explosive case, we're going to continue to investigate and we might do a grand jury. Why are you not releasing the autopsy? Now, Mel, come on. I don't know. It sounds crazy to me. That's not what I heard initially.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he's saying that the throat was not received with the body when he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. And so let's discuss that with what he said about that. He said, it is assumed that the initial pathologist retained these structures for additional evaluation. He said the retention of the anterior neck structures during an initial autopsy is a common forensic pathology practice. He was chief medical examiner for 7 years in Washington, D.C., and he said that if they had concern about throat or any fracture or compression of the throat, they too will hold them back. He doesn't know why they held the throat back, but he said the throat was not with the body of Nolan Wells when he received it in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. He said, nevertheless, a posterior neck dissection performed without review of the anterior neck structures is incomplete. Therefore, this pathologist cannot rule out injury to the neck as a contributor or a cause of death. He said he would need to have the medical examiner in Mississippi allow him to review the throat. That's why he said his autopsy is undetermined pending investigation. Remember, it's about transparency.
Any thoughts on that?
Sounds crazy to me, Mel. I mean, if
Why does it sound crazy? Break it down.
Okay, if the autopsy was done and they concluded the autopsy, right? They should have, in my opinion, sent everything to the second the second medical examination to do their autopsy. Why are they holding pieces back? Like, it doesn't, to me, the only reason why you're going to hold pieces back is because you find an anomaly, right? You find something that's there that's concerning. Again, in my opinion, if it was an accidental drowning, they would have done the report, released the autopsy, and then if they would needed a second autopsy, they would have sent Nolan with everything. Why are they holding things back? It doesn't make sense.
What if they are still working or trying to resolve certain, get certain testing on the parts? Do you think that argument holds up?
It sounds crazy. Like somebody said, it sounds crazy. Like, if it's an accidental drowning, it's an accidental drowning. Like, if it's an accidental drowning, it's an accidental drowning. What if you're taking pieces off the person's body to re-examine? That means I'm not. There's something irregular about what's going on with that piece of the body. If they're taking the neck, that means they found something. Maybe there was pressure. Maybe there was discoloration. There's something there. The pieces that seem to be missing is indicating to me that something nefarious happened to Nolan. Right? It doesn't show a regular drowning. It just doesn't show it. That's just me. Let's see, because it just seems weird to me. Like, the pieces that they're talking about is missing seems weird. It seems really weird to me. You don't do all that for a drowning. You don't.
Right. Do you think it's a likelihood that the first autopsy will lead to charges against someone? I just want to see what you think.
I mean, if they continue, it's the fact that if there is a grand jury, the fact that they have various pieces still outstanding, the fact that they're still doing intensive testing, it shows to me that it's showing there's fire. There's smoke. That's what it's showing. It's showing there's a lot of smoke there. We just now have to wait and see if there's fire. There's a lot of smoke there. There's a lot of smoke. To me, it's crazy to me. I mean, I felt uncomfortable when they said it was undetermined, right? But again, you were saying, oh, it's undetermined because they didn't have all the pieces. But then when you start paying attention to the parts of Nolan's body that they're keeping outstanding, it leads us to believe there's something more. It's not just a clear-cut case. That's what it's leading me to believe.
A lot of the pundits are actually saying, and also media is saying, listen, this shows that they had absolutely nothing. And this autopsy, listen to me, just bear with me. But I'm just telling you, because I see pretty much everything, insomnia. So, but they say this autopsy is showing nothing. No there, no flashing lights. So what do you think thus far? Because this is what people walked away from. They walked away from this saying, oh, this was nothing. We waited all this time and there's nothing there. So break it down. Tell me what you think.
With Ben Crumb statement, or the fact that Ben Crumb is saying that there still continues to do an investigation. They didn't receive all his parts.
Well, I think for the most part, some of the I don't want to call their names, but a lot of them just said, "Listen, I told you there would be nothing here." They read the entire autopsy. There's nothing to point to foul play. So that's the
So where's the
narrative that
throat?
went out.
Then I
Now,
would ask, where's the throat? That's what I would ask. I would push back and say, okay, where's his throat then? What about the red coloring behind his head? Why didn't why isn't it the Mississippi released their autopsy? Why did this particular medical examiner say it's still unconclusive, is undetermined? Why? That's what I would ask. If they keep saying that it's nothing, then where's the conclusion? Where's the drowning? It's very simple, you know. Doing an autopsy. I mean, I know that autopsy is not simple, but most of the time when there's autopsy, when you do a medical, they can tell you how you unalive. Most of the time, they can tell how you unalive, and if it's an accident, it's an accident.
right. Now, I gave you one side. There's another side that walked away from this saying, listen, there was redness in the back of his head. Someone hit him in the back of the head. His organs are missing. They're harvesting his organs, talking about a decomposed body. But I'm just saying, these are some of the narratives that are floating out after this. I'm just trying to help you to put it all into perspective, because you're the science project today.
That's not even funny. We're talking about very serious.
No. You're the talker. That's what they make us. When we sit and talk, we're the science project. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy. I do like conspiracy, but I'm not a conspiracy
theorist.
Right? Theorist. I'm not. So, but I do like to dabble every once in a while. But at this particular point, we're not even going conspiracy. So I'm not going to talk about the harvesting, because they already said that it was the most of the organs was in the bag, in the body, whatever. We're not talking about that. I'm talking
These are videos being made, though. This is really reality on the internet right now.
Well, we know how the internet is. We know the internet be internet thing, but for us on our show, we're talking about specifically what's being said. What's being said is there are several. The tests are still being conducted by the medical examiner in Mississippi. They didn't make any conclusion yet. They haven't released autopsy yet. This medical examiner are saying that there are certain parts of the body in which they could help make a determination that is missing. Why are these parts missing? Why, after all this time, we don't have a determination? Why is there a red mark behind his head? Those are the things that we want to know. We want to know the answer to.
Okay. All right. Tammy says people drown and no water is found in their lungs.
Where's the water then, Tammy? Is it Tammy that said that?
Yes.
Tammy, so people drown and there's... Tammy, people drown. How they drown, Tammy, without no water, Tammy?
She says it's called dry drowning.
And what caused the dry drowning? But I haven't heard of dry drowning. I know that there's people, when people had COVID, there was a lot of phlegm that destroyed their lungs, that caused them to unalive because they couldn't breathe. That's a different determination. There's a different terminology for that than dry drowning. Normally, when people say drowning, is in relation to water getting into the lungs in which a person is unalived. So I have not heard of dry drowning. This is a first for me. This is a first for me.
It's very similar to when a person overdose on drugs. But anyway, that's a whole different
They
concept.
call it dry drowning, or they call it suffocation.
Well, it's very similar concept. I heard a whole breakdown today about it, so you'll just have to.
I have never heard of drowning. Like, I've heard of suffocation, I've heard a lack of air. I heard because my grandma Flip suffered 6 months in recovery from COVID. So I know almost everything that happened to a body that when a COVID was attacked. I heard that there's phlegm that fills the lungs in which you can't breathe and you're unalive. I heard of that. But I have never in my life heard of anything called dry drowning.
Yes, you suffocate. You suffocate. I think I listened to the pathologist on Nancy Grace, but they said that when a person OD on drugs and dry drown is very similar. So anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but it's just it was a concept that I did. Listen, it's not my field, but I just found it to be intriguing.
I can't wait to hear about this one. I will Google dry drowning. I think it's called suffocation. And most of the time, I have yet to heard a medical examiner in I'll Google it, that came to the conclusion and said a person is dry drowning. I heard them say the person suffocated, but I have yet to hear a medical examiner come out and say, my theory and my examination said that they dry drown. Because most people be like drowning has to do with water. But again, I will research it. Thank you for telling me. Thank you.
All right. So that's from Tammy. Good job. All right. Thank you guys. A lot of people are chiming in about dry drowning. So that's a new concept for me. All right. Today was the first day. I think I heard it on Nancy Grace for the pathologist, but I found it to be intriguing.
So they found that Nolan dry drowned. That's why they held his throat.
No. Okay. The discussion went there based on because they were trying. I think Nancy Grace. If I'd listened to so much stuff today, but anyway, that's a whole separate matter.
Okay.
All right. So
I'll Google it.
All right. Let's see. Emperor says, "Mama says you can't drown if it ain't wet."
I've never heard such a thing, Empress. I mean, I'm not trying to be outlandish. I have yet in my entire life when someone say drowning, it's normally related to water.
No, I've heard of the term dry drowning before, but the fact that it's synonymous to overdosing, I didn't know that part until today.
I've heard suffocation. I've heard suffocation when it comes to overdosing, COVID, pneumonia, flu. I heard suffocation where mucus and other enzymes in your lungs and it can't breathe. I heard it's called suffocation. I have yet to hear, and this is the where it's crazy.
I think it's Nancy Grace. You got to listen to this guy. He's sharp. He breaks it down like it's very intriguing.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Nolan was allegedly in water. So if Nolan is in water and they say he's drowned and he's in water, I would think that he drowned because of water. I would never occur to me that they found him in water because everybody say he drowned. And then the drowning would be dry. Like, maybe it's just me. Nolan, forgive me. But I don't know what's happening in this world right now. Did they say as a result of him drinking?
No.
Maybe he felt
the discussion. I think the discussion. This wasn't about Nolan. No. I don't think this is necessarily about Nolan. Okay. This discussion went to this point about dry drowning. Okay. All right. So I just want to make that clear. I don't want.
Thank you for teaching me something.
Yeah, we have to be careful with that a little bit. Anyway.
Because I need to see what the autopsy said. But thank you for sharing that.
She's elaborating. This is we have our discussion, then there's a discussion happening in the chat and they're being mixed. So I just want to make it very clear. So
thank you.
As far as it goes with Nolan, all right.
Allegedly, according to what is being reported, allegedly, I'm gonna say alleged because apparently maybe there's some stuff I don't know. They said that Nolan was found in the water. It's being alleged that he tried to swim to a boat. It's being alleged that he had a shorts and he was near the edge of the water. That's what is being alleged. It has led a lot of people to say that he drowned with water, right? So there's nothing that's been said that he asphyxiated as a result of over drinking or vomiting or suffocating. None of that came out. Everything so far had led to either it's not foul play, it was an accidental drowning.
Right.
That's what I heard. So I hear y'all, but I okay, that's it.
Now Trudy is explaining it close to what I heard today.
What do you say?
I think what happens is they start to inhale the water and the vocal cords close up, blocking airflow. Okay, so that's very similar to the way that this pathologist broke it down today. But anyway, that's a whole different concept.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It just, yeah, so this gets to be kind of complicated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get back to the video because we have a lot of ground to cover yet. All right.
Wow. How much more is it left in the video? How many more minutes?
No, it's about, I'd say we have another 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Because the initial autopsy rightfully removed and dissected each organ, there are additional limitations inherent in the second autopsy of Nolan Wells. The most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric contents. He said it is very significant as to what the initial forensic scientists who got to review the body when it was recovered. We have heard from my call center people saying the body wasn't waterlogged. Well, we need to know those things. But unfortunately, because the body was decomposed and the organs have already been dissected, those are things we can only get from the initial autopsy. So therefore, again, the manner and cause of death is undetermined until further investigation.
So you see what he's saying? When it comes to the lungs, stomach content, they need information from the previous autopsy. You see what I mean?
No, I told you. That's exactly what we said. I said the original autopsy should have told us by now that it was an accidental drowning.
So we have to wait. See, here's the thing. We have to wait to hear from them because of the way in a way, it's blocked. I'll put it that way. Okay.
Yeah, they block. Why are they blocking it though? Why are they blocking it now? That especially when was this report? It came out on 19. We are the 23rd, right? It came out on 19. After hearing everything that Ben Crumb, they could have came out and say, "Hey, here's the autopsy. We could prove that it's accidental drowning."
Right.
That's it.
So let me ask you this: when's the last case that you've heard of where a person drowned and then the family, maybe by means of an attorney or just through their own wits, they order a secondary autopsy? When have you heard of that before?
I normally do not hear somebody asking for autopsy unless a second autopsy, unless they feel that there's some type of foul play, or the original investigator or sheriff or even police are not doing the proper investigation. So it doesn't. I think it has less to do with the drowning, or more to do with the confidence that they had, or the lack of confidence they had with the sheriff doing a proper investigation. I don't think that family. You see, my whole thing about this particular family is that this particular family, based on what I've seen, have been part of a group for many years where they had white friends and they are a small minority of the environment, right? So they're like the pepper in a field full of salt, right? So I don't think the mom and the dad, because they have a lot of friends, they grew up with these kids came to their houses, they know the moms and daddies, these kids. I don't think that they would be inclined to go this far with it, right? If they didn't feel something is wrong. You understand? When you part of an environment where your kids and your family members is part of an overall bigger environment, you comfortable with them, right? You comfortable with your white friends, your white co-workers. You guys go to each other barbecues, go to each other weddings and stuff like that. Apparently you guys go to private islands with each other, isolated islands with each other. I don't think the mom and dad would have thought to hire Ben Crumb an entire black there's a terminology, the black or group of leadership, if they didn't feel something was going on, because I don't think that they were raised to think that way. She said several times, again and again, and even when she says it, I'm like, girl, you know, blessings to the mom. She's like, I don't see color. I don't see race. She specifically said that over and over again. I don't see color. I don't see race. I love everybody. So she doesn't seem to be one of the people that would be screaming that, oh, that I think that my kid was unalived by white people. She doesn't, it just doesn't seem that type. So this is why I find it very interesting that she is actually seeking the help of Ben Crumb and all of them when she already lived in that environment already, her and her husband. And I find it that when there is black folks that lives among predominantly white groups, a lot of us get very comfortable in that environment, and we are treated, or they feel that they're treated as equal, right? Because if they didn't feel they treated as equal, they wouldn't be going to their different houses and different boats and stuff like that. I think she honestly believed, the mom and dad honestly believed that they were among friends. They were living that ideal life, right? They weren't seeing color. They didn't feel, I'm sure they were, if you ask them, they didn't feel any racism. If there was any racism, it probably was rare. They felt that the love of their community. So for them to come out and ask for outside help, something is going on. Something is going on. You know? So, yeah. That's all I have to say about it now.
Okay, let's keep pushing here.
We are hopeful that the Mississippi Medical Examiner would give Dr. Mitchell an opportunity to see their photographs and their observations to the condition of Nolan Wells' body closer in time to July 4th. That is very important, and we have to continue to demand transparency, President Johnson. In addition, the original toxicology results have not been received at the time of this report. And we continue to wait for the toxicology to come back, because again, that will be part of the investigation into Nolan Wells' autopsy by Dr. Mitchell. It is significant to note that it's many things that go into toxicology that only Dr. Mitchell will be able to opine upon, and medical experts can opine upon. And he feels the proper place to do that is before a grand jury in a courtroom. And so we would hope that the district attorney would present Dr. Mitchell before the grand jury as well. We want all relevant information to be heard by the grand jury. Lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water, lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water with suspicion of drowning, it is important to confirm how that person entered the water. This is the crux of the matter. This information is especially important for those deaths of persons who can swim. As in the case with Nolan Wells, At the time of this report, this forensic pathologist does not know the condition of Nolan Wells. He did not know whether he was conscious or unconscious when he entered the water. He said that would be significant. He said he did not know whether he was forced into the water or unforced into the water. He said that would be significant. So he said the condition of Nolan Wells before he entered the water would be the crux of the matter. It would be of utmost importance to being able to determine a cause and manner of death. He said, definitive circumstances of death are required to determine the manner of death. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out, and let me really call your attention to this. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he's saying based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That is significant.
All right. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, pretty much what we're all saying. And that's the problem. That's the problem. This is pretty much what everybody's saying. Why is it not people can't rule one way or the other? Why can't he rule one way or the other? Obviously, there's parts that's missing. He's waiting. But at the end of the day, why can't any of them come out and say this was an accidental drowning? That it was an accident? You know? I'm not surprised. I'm personally not surprised at the findings. I gave it a lot of time. I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to give it a lot of time to see what comes out, because I don't want to, be out here, ticked off or screaming that there was foul play, blah, blah, blah. I want to see what the autopsy say before I say anything. But everything is very concerning right now. It's very concerning. It's very concerning. If it was a simple drowning, I believe that even with everything that was going on, that the sheriff, the medical examiner would have did a press conference showing this is our finding. This is a simple drowning. That's just me. But we'll see. Now we're talking about, now we're hearing that they won't release, they haven't released the autopsy. It has to go to the grand jury. I don't know. And okay, so let's just say, okay, this is it. Okay, so let's just say that it was accidental and they send it to grand jury. Why would they send Nolan for a second autopsy without the notes of the first autopsy? Or the photos or the video? That doesn't seem weird to us. Doesn't it seem weird? Like you're having an investigate without all of the findings. It just seemed weird. The whole thing just seemed weird to me. It just seemed weird. We'll see.
Right.
Thoughts? You've been listening to this for 2 days. What do you think?
I think, in my personal opinion, I think the first autopsy was ordered. And I think because they pulled in the high-profile Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, I think that the local state are trying to put all their, dot all their I's and cross all their T's before they put anything out, because they know the heat is there. Typically, under these circumstances, people probably, the state get to do whatever they want, and people don't even ask questions. They just receive, right? But it's different this time because you have a lot of eyes. You have the whole world looking in. So I don't think, based on the video I showed with the sheriff, he looked like he was faint out of fear because he's just not used to all of this scrutiny on a case. So that's just my opinion. I think when the autopsy come out, I think that's when we're going to know more. Now, some might debate and say, well, this is wrong. This is not true. Okay. You reserve the right for that. But I think we have to start with the autopsy, which we're waiting for, and seems to be taking quite some time. But I think they're waiting on the toxicology report, if I'm not mistaken.
But I'm thinking that even if that's the case, right? And they want to be sure, and I get that, but why didn't they share their findings with the next medical examiner? That's my question. Like, to me it seemed incomplete. No, it's you're not. It doesn't, to me, that doesn't make sense at all. I mean, even if you don't want to release it yourself, right? You don't want to,
Right.
There's such things as confidentiality. You know what I mean? I don't know if you could make an autopsy confidential or you could have an agreement with another medical examiner, but how do you send the Nolan to be re-examined without the notes of what you found? So they could continue. It's almost like going to a doctor's office, right? And all of a sudden you show up in a new doctor's office without none of your medical history.
Right.
It
You know,
doesn't
it's very similar to a personal injury case where you have civilly, right? And so sometimes there's tension on both sides and they're both trying to examine the same information regarding the case. So one side don't want to hand over the information that should be easily shared with the other. And one side has fear of being checked, they're having their hands checked and so forth. So it could just be a situation where it's not a conducive relationship, you follow?
I understand that, but okay, then that's the case. Let's just say it's a car accident. You're going to show the video, the photo of the car. You're going to give the testimony of each driver. You're going to talk about the location. You're going to give all the ingredients. Imagine having doing a settlement case, or just like you said, but then you don't know what car the person is driving. You don't know where the accident happened. I mean, those are just basic facts, right?
Right.
They could have just said the basic facts. That's it.
I have a pathologist that's going to be coming on the channel, so I think it's going to answer a lot of our questions.
That would be great to have them come on.
So when I have the pathologist on, then I think that's going to answer a lot of questions. But from what I understand, let's say, for instance, remember they took the body 6 days pretty much into this. So right after the first pathologist looked at the body, now you have he's being shipped out. They probably didn't know that was going to happen, so they probably got sidelined. So let's say they're doing tests on his throat. Maybe they're planning to bring charges because they discovered his throat was tampered with.
But
I'm saying,
yes.
Right? So we don't know that. All we're doing is assuming, but they might already have charges coming down the pipe. We just wouldn't know that, or there may not be anything coming. So a lot of it is just the fact that we don't know. Okay,
yeah.
So
yeah, we just don't know. But at the end of the day, because we don't know, right? And it goes right back to me saying exactly what I said in the very beginning, because there's a lot of people that's criticizing the family, criticizing the mom, and blah blah blah. It's because they don't know. This is why where we are. This is why where we are. This is why there is such an outrage, where something's supposed to be a simple investigation to get to the truth has turned into this whole huge story. And a lot of people said, oh, the reason why is because Ben Crump came on board and because this person. No, the reason why is because the mom and dad felt that they couldn't get the truth with the investigation of what's going on. The reason why is that they knew that their son don't normally, when he travels with his friends, he normally comes back with them. They know because they spoke to their son and they have an agreement. They know that their son doesn't get separated from a phone. They know the fact that they had to chase down his car. They know the fact that their son was missing at 4 o'clock and all his friends didn't report it until 11. That's the problem. That's why they need the extra help. Because none of this is normal.
Let me ask you a question, right? We still have to get through this video. We're behind schedule. Do you think it's possible that, let's say he had an accidental drown? I'm just giving you a hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he went missing and nobody could account for him. So at the end of the day, you have to come up with some sort of scenario. And so they said, they just said, well, maybe one person said, oh, he said he was going with somebody else, and they just went with that narrative. Do you think that that's possible in this case?
I think that there's a possibility that there's negligence in cover up, and sometimes the cover up is worse than the crime. I think that's the case. There was somebody that said that there's a possibility that I read a comment where somebody said, "Oh, it's a possibility that he was taken by the current and nobody saw him." Right? That's somebody
Right.
said the comment. How is that? You mean to tell me? Let me tell you something. When I travel with my friends and we go to the beach or anywhere, we know where each other is. There is no way I'm traveling with a group of friends and they're in the water and I don't know that they're gone and disappeared in the water.
Okay, so
Talking about.
so let me throw this at you. The video we're going to be watching, but I don't think we're going to have time tonight. The guy explains that I guess they came in on 3 boats. There was roughly 30 of them traveling together. Nolan went missing. So based on that, does that change your position? Are they going to know about all the 30 people at any given time?
Yes. Like somebody's gonna know, Mel. I mean, the bigger the crowd, the more you know. Like the bigger the crowd, you know enough to tell me that he was interested in a girl.
Mm-hmm.
He went with a girl. What are you talking about? It's not as if they said, "Oh, we don't." He went on the island. We don't know nothing that happened to him. Oh yeah, we know. We know that he left his phone behind. We know the fact that he went to a girl after a girl. We know enough to say that he said that he wanted to stay with the girl and he was going to take another boat. We know enough, right? We know enough to establish something, but we just don't know what happened to him. But we know enough, but we don't know what happened to him. The girl don't know what happened to him. The friends don't know what happened. Nobody know what happened. Come on, Mel. So the answer is yes. The more people, the more you know. He went with his friends. According to my understanding, he went with his friends. He didn't go with like let's just say we went on a ferry. We have a Staten Island ferry, and hundreds of people go on the Staten Island ferry, and I went on the Staten Island ferry by myself, right? And all of a sudden I disappear over the side boat. Nobody know what happened to me, right? I'm one person in a sea of strangers, right? I wouldn't expect a sea of strangers to see, oh, this black woman's on a ferry. What happened to her? But if I'm traveling on a cruise ship and having a party with a bunch of my friends, right? And my friends are we having a good old time. You know how we have the cruises and we having our drinks and our DJs and we eating and drinking. Hell yeah, one of my friends gonna realize my ass is not on the boat. Come on, stop playing with me.
Okay, but check this out. They went to the island. There's 1,000 people out there. There's 30 of them that came in together from a different source. So you mean to tell me that they're going to keep up with each other and there's 1,000 other people on this island? And also dig this. They didn't get to pull the boat on the island like you see when people pull their trucks and they actually bring a boat on. And no, they had to leave enough space from the shore, then get out and walk to the land. Okay. So you have a whole clutter of ships out here or boats out here around the island. So my question to you, right? You're going to be accountable for 30 people that came together. You think so? Mixing in with 1,000 people on an island.
I'm going to be accountable for my friends. Yes. For my friend that I came on board that I took pictures with.
I'm not talking about when you're leaving. I'm saying throughout the entire course, people are going to the. So that's my argument.
But they knew enough to know that he went with the girl. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you that I will be accountable for my friends. I will make sure my friend have a phone. I will make sure to know that how my friend is getting back. I went with my friend. I'm coming back with my friend. We're not talking about total strangers. He went with his friends. There's a difference. He didn't go solo dolo. If he went solo dolo and he didn't know none of these,
you have to listen. You have to listen to the recording of the guy.
I gotta listen to the recording
because that's the missing part. You didn't hear.
No, that's not his friend.
the guy that he went with. There's a mixture. They're mixing up on the boats. And when you ask him about Nolan, he wasn't like, "Oh, I really was paying attention to Nolan." It was more like, "We get in where we fit in." You have to. There's missing parts that you haven't. So it's not fair for me to ask you that question. So here's the part, right?
It's almost like Eddie, right? Because Eddie wasn't Kamala Anthony friend after he was his friend. So that
Right.
guy that went with him is not really his friend because he gone, right?
You know how it is.
So now we're gonna find pictures of him having dinner at his grandma's house, but that wasn't his friend, right? That's what we're saying. So the guy that's talking now, that wasn't really my friend. Like he's just one of those guys who just fit in. I didn't know what he was doing. He's just somebody I knew sociably.
Okay, so yesterday we went through a series of videos that starts back to people who were really associated with Nolan when he first went missing. There's no indication that the girl was mentioned. According to these individuals, that they probably got from the friends, right? So we're just trying to tie it together. Who knows the real truth?
Yep.
But it wasn't about a girl. Nolan, the boat was having an issue taking on water. They're like, "Nolan, come on." Nolan says, "I don't want to go. I'll catch another boat." It wasn't about a girl. All right. That story probably developed down the line. Okay. We're just sticking with the information because we're going to look at it all. But here's where it gets fishy. Okay. I understand because I travel a lot. Sometimes you have to leave your cell phone behind. I've experienced that. A lot of us leave our cell phones on the boat. Okay. I get that. Maybe he left his keys too because he felt like he was going to be swimming. But here's where you run into a problem. When Nolan says, "Hey, I'm going to go find my own way now," right? And you're missing the video where it explains how he came to the island. It's at that point where you say, "Give me my cell phone and give me my keys." You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying to you, I'm asking you a real question. Is it possible the boy went, I'm just asking, the boy went missing with a current and nobody noticed where he went? All of a sudden, where's Nolan? Nobody knows. So they come up with a story. They have his keys and his phone. We understand why initially, but that story could be made up just to substantiate because they don't know what happened to Nolan. Now, there's other narratives too, right? We're not talking about the narrative where maybe somebody strangles him, all that. I'm just asking you about this one part of it right now.
I'm saying to you that if there's a scenario where they got scary, right? And because Nolan went missing, because there are a situation where your friends and stuff get missing, right? Right? We know this. Where our friends get in trouble, our friends get missing, family member get missing. You know what you do? You go look for them. Or you call the police, right? Or you do something to show that there's active anxiety if one of your loved ones is missing. You don't chill out until 11 o'clock at night, right? Where the parent, then somebody call and the parents have to now do the investigation themselves. You panic, right? You try to figure out. Also, you don't get lawyers immediately after. It wouldn't occur to me to get a lawyer if one of my friends are missing. I'm not getting a lawyer. I'm getting my ass on the boat and I'm going to look for my friend, or I'm going to go do a search party. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not keeping his phone and keys or her phone and keys. Even if nothing, even if they weren't participant in the what happened to Nolan, again, the cover up is sometimes worse than the crime itself. Something happened to this kid, and maybe they got scared.
Okay, so that's so now you're answering the question that I had posed to you. Okay, I get it. Now I'm going to ask you a different question. Is it possible?
Like I don't answer your questions. I like to go give my 3 or 4 cents, but I answer your questions. Thank you. Go ahead.
You answered it, but you answered it in your own way,
exactly,
which was quite different. But we answered the question. So
God have mercy. Go ahead.
God bless America, home of the brave. So check this out. So here's another question, right?
I'm listening.
So we talked about maybe he got caught in the current. They look around. Where's Nolan? We can't find him. So they come up with a ruse just to try to survive because they don't want to tell the mother, we don't know what happened to your son. Okay, here's another scenario. There's a girl involved and there's another guy or a family member that's upset that, she's talking to this guy. Is it possible something like that could have happened? I'm just asking you a question. That's all.
I mean, it's possible, but if that's the case, then that means that somebody intentionally did something to him. Like, it's possible that all of a sudden he was talking to this girl, and then after that, somebody else got mad and he got into a fight or something, or into an argument. But we don't know, right? Because somebody's lying. But everyone say it's possible that all scenarios true. I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere. It may have been on your show. I'm not sure, where they said it's possible everything is true. It's possible he told his friend that he was going to go with the girl. It's possible he went and talked to the girl. It's possible the girl said that he said, I'm going back to my friend. And it's possible he turned around to leave her and they all thought different things. All of this stuff is possible, right? Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we don't know how he unalived, right? We should by now, on July 23rd, know whether it was an accidental drowning or not. At the very least, we should know. With the autopsy, we should know.
Right.
And we
But
don't
see
know.
here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you tie this to the girl and beyond, let's say a jealous boyfriend or who knows what the circumstance was. Oh, you messing with my girl, boo, boo, boo. Then he gets snatched up. He's in the water. He's out of here. Then that's off of the 3 boys that went with him, supposedly, right?
I don't
But
think
then,
three
so now we're
boys
going to,
because they left their friend. They were always, let me tell you, those 3 boys, those friends will always have to deal with the fact that they left Nolan behind. Whether it's justified or not, I don't know. It depends on what happened with Nolan, right? But at the end of the day, his 3 friends, if they were his friends, maybe they weren't. Apparently, they're trying to back up saying that wasn't my friend. If those were his friends, they will know that they left their friend behind.
yeah, but we use the word, it's just like Carmelo Anthony and Eddie. We use the word friend conveniently sometimes, but at the end of the day, the mother said these boys never stayed at the house. She barely knew who they were. Like anybody that's a real friend, your mother and father are at least gonna know who they are to a certain extent. I'm talking about since elementary school.
You don't know, your parents don't know all your friends, but if those were not his true friends, then I haven't heard that. Then those was not his true friends, and that's a different conversation altogether. If those were not his true friends, now Eddie was allegedly Carmelo's friend. You don't go to somebody's grandma's house, birthday party, and stuff like that. That's not your friend. Come on, give me a break. So Eddie's a liar, and he's gonna have to go down his grave with that a mark against his heart forever. Now, those 3 guys, if those were not his friends, then they weren't his friends. But here's the thing, though. Why did they have his car keys? Why did they have his car? Who would you give someone, Mel, would you give someone that's not your friend your car and your car keys?
Right. So basically, when you listen to the other video that we're not going to get to, the guy explains they all stayed together the night before. The keys don't make it to the island, but the keys are, I believe, at the house. So that's how when they come to collect the phone, they get the keys too, because it's all in the car. Everything ends up coming back to the same place where he stayed previously, I believe, the night before. I'm speaking loosely. It's just so many points to the case. So it wasn't like the keys made it to the boat out at the sea. No, but in the end, they all came together because of, the parents came to retrieve the stuff.
Let's do it again. Mel, are you going to leave your car keys at a stranger's house?
If I stayed at a house the night before and I'm going swimming and I have a room, Airbnb, I have a place, then I will leave my possessions there until I got back. Yeah. If I'm going swimming, right? We're getting on a boat. That makes sense. It might be in my backpack. I'm going to leave my backpack where I stayed the night before because I'm going to come back and stay there again the following night. That would make sense to me.
Okay.
I travel a lot, so that makes sense. Now, I'm not going to randomly just have my keys strolled about, but if this is where I stayed, if you listen to the guy, he stayed there the night before. Okay, this is what the friend is saying. If he's correct, then that would at least make sense, okay? But as far as his phone,
Mm.
if it's true, at the end of the day, they're saying, listen, we're out of here, right? He's saying, listen, I'm going to go find a different way. You would think he would say, hand me my phone. That only makes sense, right?
Okay, I'm hearing all these different explanations for people that allegedly was his friend that he traveled with, hung out with. I thought didn't they have like a pool party thing where he was hanging out with the same bunch of people the week before? So all of a sudden now they don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. They don't know they don't know. Okay.
Right.
These are people that he traveled with all the lot. According to my understanding, according to the mom of one of the kids who went to college with Nolan's mom, who knew each other for years, she came out and said, I went to college with his mom. Her name is Christina, right? I went to college with her. You know how many years between college and now? It's a few years. So all of a sudden, I went to college. I know her, meaning that I knew when she got married. I knew when she had the baby. Our kids kind of grew up together. Now, all of a sudden now, we're in the Airbnb and the key was just left behind and I don't know nothing happened. No, I don't know why he didn't have his phone. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I know nothing, sir. Like, I don't understand what's happening. So I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Right. Well, the phone is going to be really hard to get around the phone explanation. Maybe there's an explanation that makes sense.
Everything. I think everything is hard. I think everyone, something happened, either intentionally or not. They all panicked. They all lawyered up because they know what it looks like. They know what it looked like. Something happened for them to panic. You don't panic like that. You don't panic like that. I can't even imagine. I mean, the mom taking down the Facebook page almost immediately. Like there's certain acts that and then everybody act like people are not aware of what environment we are in. If it was a regular tragic situation, people come together collectively. Friends and family come together collectively in your time of need, right? To help, to support, to find. They do that. People don't normally split up, get lawyers, act like they don't know what the hell happened. That's not what happens in tragic situations like this.
Yeah, but listen,
again, I could be wrong.
I get what you're saying, right? But the average person don't have a mother that's a judge, okay? So, under those circumstances, the mother knows the system. She's gonna right off the jump. Like for instance, you started off, you said, listen, if somebody mess with my sons, I'm gonna shut down the whole world, right? Okay. On the flip side, if your sons do something and you're not clear if they're wrong or they're not telling you the truth, you're also gonna say, okay, well, let me get you some attorneys. I gotta protect you because I don't know if you guys did some stuff. You're gonna do that too, right?
Yeah, but you just said it because I know they must have did something wrong.
Okay,
exactly.
okay. So
But
there
that's
you
exactly
have
our
it.
point, though, Mel. Me and you in the same place. But
I know.
that's exactly what it leads to, right? You must have thought something is going on with the child,
or didn't fully know. Yeah.
or didn't fully know for you to lower up. That's his thing. But if you knew your child would never have done anything like that, and it was a horrible accident, then everybody will be coming together like, hey, you know, what happened? Giving food, dropping off food, coming in, like searching. Like there'll be so much stuff involved. It seems like everybody went to their camp and now they're doing covering their ass. That means that makes people wonder what actually happened.
Right. Very interesting. I must say, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I will ask the question now that we really got to wrap this up. It's been a long day. But I want to ask everybody now in the audience, because now we've kind of went through more of the autopsy. If you think that something nefarious happened to Nolan, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it was an accidental drowning, right? Even though maybe it hasn't been ruled that, whatever. We're just asking. Number 2, put a 2 in the chat. Put a 3 if you're undecided. So let's just see what everybody has to say. One, if you think it was a nefarious event, someone took Nolan out of here or contributed toward his death. Two, if you think it was just an accidental, perhaps he got caught in the tide, he went missing. Everybody's like, where did he go? We don't know. Well, we got to come up with a story. We got to be able to tell his mother something. All right. So let's see what people have to say. We're getting more ones. Most people feel like it was a nefarious event. Look at there. Look at all the ones. Mostly ones. Okay.
Yeah, mostly ones.
Mostly ones. Okay, very good. So that
A lot of threes either. That unknown. A lot of people really to still not know. Okay, we have 1 3, 2 3s. Yeah, a lot of people. I'm sorry you feel. You know, we don't know.
okay.
We don't know, but it looked like a lot. Overwhelmingly so far, we have one. Let's see what the other autopsy come out and say. All we want is answers. A lot of us, all of us, want answers of what happened. You know.
Yeah. Right. You know what would be interesting? Somebody asked a good question. I don't know who it was. I wish I had have kept the message, but they said, was there any footprints around Nolan when he
Yes.
was
Yes.
found? I saw that.
I saw that earlier. Yeah.
Whoever said that, put it back in the chat. I want to identify the person before I tell you what I'm going to do. But anyway, is there any parting words? I think we had a good show. It's very complicated, but at the end of the day, now, from what you know, because you had me go through the autopsy reading report again, do you feel, well, I already know how you're going to answer. Do you feel like the autopsy showed foul play?
I think the autopsy left a lot of questions. I don't
Well,
think so. Yes.
see, you got to answer the question.
See, but I did answer the question. I think that I can't say definitively that it's foul play. I just think that the
If you
autopsy.
had to answer one way or the other, which would it be?
I don't like to do that, Mel,
Oh,
because the
okay.
fact
All
that
right.
the reason why is because we don't want to give more information without the evidence, right? We
All
don't
right.
want to give. I don't want to be, of course, and say, "Oh, Mama Flip," because that's exactly what they're gonna do. Oh, Mama Flip said this and that, and looking at it, she was wrong. I don't like that. Until I have all the evidence, I don't like to give definitive answer. I could just tell you that right now, I can honestly say that I'm not comfortable with saying that it's an accidental drowning. I could say that. I just don't know what happened. I'm not comfortable. There's not enough. There's nothing that showed me that it was an accidental drowning. So that's why. But I don't know what happened. So until
Right.
I see the other autopsy, I don't have much to say. I'm still waiting to see what the answer is when it comes to Nolan Wells.
No broken bones, no bruising, correct?
They said that there was a red mark behind his head.
It wasn't classified as bruising, though. Why would they say the red mark and then say there's no bruising? That's a contradiction.
Well, they did say that they didn't have this. I thought they said there were certain. They didn't have the throat, right? And they also said one of the things I did pay attention to is that, and I found it interesting, is that they said there was no skull fracture. They said that, right? I didn't hear skull fracture. I was like, oh, okay. So that means that he did not. His head wasn't hit against anything. But a lot of people are saying that when it comes to the sea, because I saw somebody comment and say, oh, when you get in the sea, your body is roughed up and stuff like that. But yeah, if that's the case, then why isn't there any bruising in his bone? Why isn't there any bruising on his head? Why isn't all of that stuff is happening? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say in the sea, that's how he got the red mark. But then at the end of the day, you say, well, in the sea, they rough you up. That's why they have certain things. But then also, yeah, you see that there's no bruise on him. That means that nothing happened. You see what I'm saying? It's just too much unanswered questions for me. It's too much unanswered question. But I did note the fact that they said there was no, his skull was intact. There was no sign of you know, a crack in his head or anything like that. So I found that was interesting too. But we need to figure out what happened to. Why do they have his throat? Why didn't they release the autopsy? Why did, if it's true? Because even Benjamin Crump said that it went to. I don't know if you heard that Benjamin Crump said that it went into or is going into the grand jury, and he said that he wanted his medical examiner or his independent medical examiner to go to the grand jury and testify too. So I think Benjamin confirmed that there is a grand jury.
Right.
So yeah.
So when I was in Egypt last week, they had the old style Egyptian pillow, and I don't recall what they said it's called, but it's kind of sits at the base of your head. It's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard. Probably even made out of marble. I don't know, but it sits under your head, right? So the pathologist that I tapped into today was saying, usually when they work on the body, they place the head on a little cupping device similar to the Egyptian pillow, and he says that will cause the red pooling in the back of the head because the body is fixated while they do the dissecting
Okay.
and so forth.
So what?
Also, Ben Crump was on TMZ, and I noticed that they've been going back and forth. He's been on the show, but I noticed that Harvey said, "Oh yeah, these red marks, I believe, can come from lying on the gurney." So, or something similar. So, you have all of these different scenarios, but then you also have the other side where people are saying, "Oh, he was hit in the back of the head and he was flipped off the boat," and so forth and so on. So anyway,
The fact is, we don't know. The fact is, if all of that happened, then you know what? They should have sent the autopsy to the second medical examiner or the independent medical. I just have to say independent medical examiner. They should have sent the notes with Nolan so they could know exactly what the red meant in the back of the neck, why they don't have certain toxology, why they don't have the throat. All of those notes, the factual notes. I'm not talking about the determination, but the factual notes should, with the tests and everything, should have gone to the second independent autopsy so they could. We won't have all these questions.
right, right. Very good point. We have a pathologist that's going to be coming on. I look forward. We have a lot of professionals coming on. I'll make sure I'll invite you too, so you
Thank
can
you.
get your
Oh, thank
questions
you.
in too. Very important. What's that?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear. I definitely want to hear when that coming. I'm away this weekend though, but I'm definitely interested in hear what the pathology says about things
Yes.
that they heard.
Next week, I have a whole slew of professionals, heavy hitters coming in to break down not only this case, we're going to get into Nancy Guthrie. We're going to talk about some, and also we don't want to forget about Daniel Irving. He drowned too.
Oh,
There's a
that's
lot
the
of
one that they
suspicion in
found.
regard.
Yes, is that the one
Yeah.
that they arrested someone after the like 3 months
Right.
later?
Right. Right. Right.
See, this is a
Right.
prime example, right? And that person that they said it was because there was a lot of cover up.
Right. Exactly. So these things happen. It's great to be able to cover these cases. And I want to thank you for being here tonight. We had a great show. I wasn't able to get you riled up.
I did get riled
I,
up. I got riled
I
up at
don't,
the beginning several
I
times.
don't, no, we want to get you really riled up. We got to
Oh, I
get,
was happy
we
to get
didn't talk
riled up,
about
people.
Trump. To get you going, I have to get Trump in the equation. So I wasn't
Man
able to
had
do
nothing to
that
do with
tonight.
Nolan. Like, come on. And then I heard since she's talking about him. Then I heard I didn't have any confidence. Let me just put it out there. I didn't have no confidence. But when I heard the FBI was actually going on the case, I was like, oh, I actually paid attention. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. They really taking this seriously. And just to find out the FBI is going there because because they want to investigate the people that's threatening the kids,
Right.
the white friends. That's what the FBI going down there for. We have a whole case where a black young boy was
Wait
on
a
the
minute. They were threatening the
side.
mother too, I believe. Right.
Well,
The parents
I
too.
didn't
Yeah.
hear about the mother. So to be honest, I did not. When the report came in, the FBI, I did not hear about the mother that the FBI was going to investigate the mother being threatened. That's all I heard. So maybe I heard wrong. But when I initially heard that the FBI was going, I thought FBI was going to actually be part of the case to find out exactly what happened to Nolan Wells. So imagine my surprise when I heard that, oh, it wasn't because they were interested in investigating and find out what's going on Nolan Wells. They're interested because they're following up on people threatening people, and they feared for their lives. And I wasn't
Right.
thinking of the mom. So I'm
Hmm.
like, that must be nice.
Oh, also before we go, when you're talking about the grand jury in this case, people get things confused. I think the grand jury is going to be about maritime law.
Okay.
That when you take somebody with you on the sea, you have to bring them back. So I think that's what it's going to be after. As far as somebody unaliving him, taking his life, it's going to be hard.
And
I
the
think
drinking and the drinking. Why are these young kids drinking? There's negligence there. Either way, there's negligence there.
yeah, but it's not. When you hear grand jury, people think, oh, it's going to be murder charges. No, it's not that. I think it's going to be more of a technical situation, if anything at all.
We'll see.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It's so amazing to have a lot of people. We had a lot of new people today. A lot of people subscribed today. And so we're going to be having a lot of these shows, a lot of breakdowns. I will be doing a breakdown of Nancy Guthrie. And also, I really want to do John Benet Ramsey. I don't know why, but my grandmother was so caught up in that case. What's that?
What's going on? Why are we bringing up John?
Well, the FBI claims that they have new information, and the father is still living. So I'm intrigued by that case. I don't think I have the time. So we're going to put a lot of time into Nolan. We have a little bit more on Carmelo Anthony coming up. If the appeal, we'll see how that goes. But also Nancy Guthrie. And there's always a new case coming through. It's great to be able to go over these cases with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we always have to talk about the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Hey, by the way, I thought we had a peace deal. Why is he still after the peace deal where the peaceful president decided that we have a peace deal with Iran? Why did I hear that he was still pew-pewing Iran after the peace deal? What happened?
The peace deal pieced out.
Okay, people. We'll talk more about it next time. Because I could have sworn you guys came and told me, Mama Flip, you see, he got a peace deal. I like, did it last a week? So yeah, we definitely need to talk about it.
It might have lasted 48 hours, probably at the best.
Nice. Oh, nice. Well, that's your man. That's your man.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil. Phil says, good night, everyone. Support the show any way you can. Thank you, Phil. Phil, you're far too kind. It's amazing to have people like Phil supporting the channel. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Work on your attitude. I know it's hard. God bless you. I had to get you before we go. All right, no, seriously.
Attitude. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
I gotta get you worked up. I waited too late in the show, but next week I'll get you. All right.
Okay.
Bye, good night, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the theme remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Right. So,
hey.